Mesoamerica encompasses more than just the Aztec, Mayan, and Toltec civilizations. Numerous ancient Mesoamerican civilizations possessed distinct deities and religious doctrines. The civilizations encompass the Olmec, Zapotec, Teotihuacán, Maya, Toltec, and Aztec civilizations. The Olmec civilization is the earliest recognized Mesoamerican civilization. The term Olmec derives from the Nahuatl word meaning rubber people. The Olmecs were a pre-Columbian civilization inhabiting present-day southern Mexico, specifically in the contemporary states of Veracruz and Tabasco. The Olmecs are pivotal to history as they were the inaugural Mesoamerican civilization to establish a writing system, employ hieroglyphics, and erect substantial stone monuments including pyramids.
The calendar created by the Olmecs was among their most significant accomplishments. The system comprised 365 days, segmented into 18 months of 20 days each, with an additional 5 days at the year's conclusion, distinguishing it from the contemporary calendar. They incorporated 0 into their numerical system, which is why it is still used today. The Zapotec civilization existed in the Oaxaca Valley, Mexico. This Mesoamerican civilization was recognized for its use of the Mesoamerican writing system and artistic expression. The Zapotecs were among the earliest civilizations in Mexico to establish a writing system. Since they are inscribed on stone or pottery, we lack knowledge of the phonetics of their language as no records of their lives exist. Only physical evidence, such as pottery adorned with images and inscribed hieroglyphs, persists. This evidence type is called epigraphic, due to its inscription on an external object, such as a statue. Teotihuacán was a hub of commerce and governance from approximately 300 BC until its abandonment in 600 AD. Archaeology has examined the site since the 19th century, and it is now a crucial repository of knowledge regarding Mesoamerican civilization, one of the most notable early urban centers in pre-Columbian America. The city is north of contemporary Mexico City in Mexico, 65 kilometers, 40 miles, northeast of the Federal District. Teotihuacán translates to place where men become gods, potentially referencing the belief that rulers attained divinity posthumously. The Teotihuacanos were constructors and combatants. They conflicted with adjacent groups over land and resources. Their paramount military triumph occurred in 378 AD against Xolalpan, capturing its leader, Cuauhtémoc, and the death of numerous Xolalpan warriors in combat. After this triumph, they annexed the territories of Xolalpan, encompassing Azcapotzalco, Culhuacán, and Tlaxcala, thereby asserting dominion over these regions as well as adjacent locales, such as Cholula and Chichen Itza, until ultimately succumbing to decline due to internal strife instigated by incessant conflicts among various ethnic factions within the Aztec Empire during its waning years, before its subjugation by Spanish conquistadors led by Hernán Cortés, who arrived at Chempoala Island, located between Veracruz and Tamiahua Province, in July 1519. The Maya civilization was among the most sophisticated in ancient Mesoamerica. They possessed an intricate calendar, writing system, religious framework, and astronomical system. The Mayans' intricate political, economic, and social framework established them as the most advanced civilization. The Maya civilization emerged in Guatemala and southern Mexico from 200 BCE to 900 CE. The Mayans were renowned for their architectural achievements, agricultural practices, and urban development. The Mayan cities featured substantial stone pyramids symbolizing crucial deities, including rain gods and rulers of their territories, Guatemala. Nonetheless, their culture exhibited considerable advancement in the arts. Ceramics were employed to create utilitarian pottery and ritualistic items like bowls for sacrifices and incense burners specifically crafted for the combustion of incense in religious ceremonies. Bray. The Toltec civilization. The Toltec civilization was a Mesoamerican culture that prevailed in central Mexico during the post-classic period, from 900 to 1170 CE. Its nucleus was the capital city of Tula, situated in present-day Hidalgo State, Mexico. Pre-Columbian culture. This term denotes societies before Christopher Columbus arrived in 1492, encompassing pre-Hispanic cultures and those that inhabited the region during European settlement, post-colonial. Pre-Hispanic culture denotes any group or society existing before the Spanish conquest in 1521 CE. This refers to indigenous populations whose history predates European colonization of the Americas, specifically Mesoamerica. The Aztec civilization was among the most sophisticated civilizations in Mesoamerica. The civilization's capital city was Tenochtitlan, situated on an island in Lake Texcoco. Presently, Mexico City encircles the location of Tenochtitlan, a substantial lake. The city-states of the Aztec Empire were autonomous, yet consolidated under a robust central authority. At its zenith, the empire governed a substantial portion of present-day Central America, southern North America, and segments of South America, encompassing Ecuador and Colombia. Mesoamerica consisted mainly of three regions: Soconusco, southern Pacific coast; Oaxaca, central southern Pacific coast; and Veracruz, central Gulf Coast. This region encompasses various ecosystems, including deserts, mountains, and volcanoes. The concepts of deities, religion, and mythology interconnected Mesoamerican civilizations more profoundly than previously assumed. The origins of Mesoamerican civilization are located in contemporary Mexico. The Olmecs inhabited that region approximately 1,400 years ago and are regarded as the first civilization in this part of the world. They possessed a written language, recently rediscovered, a calendar system still in use today, and a form of art. The Olmecs possess a fascinating link to the subsequent civilization known as the Maya. Mesoamerica denotes the pre-Columbian civilizations located in Mexico and Central America. The Mesoamerican indigenous peoples, including the Maya, Aztec, and Inca civilizations, were among the most sophisticated native populations in the Western Hemisphere. At the northernmost extremity of Baja California, Mesoamerican boundaries extend westward from a location on the Gulf Coast of Mexico, north of the contemporary port of Tampico, before descending southward to omit a significant portion of the central highland desert of Mexico. The boundary along the Pacific coast in El Salvador stretches from northwestern Honduras to the Caribbean. Nearly 50% of Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and sections of Honduras and El Salvador, in addition to a significant portion of South America's Pacific coast, are classified as Mesoamerican. The Inca, despite being centered in Peru and governing a substantial part of South America's Pacific coast, are still regarded as Mesoamerican. Mesoamerica is defined by two significant geographical and cultural contrasts: highlands and lowlands. The Sierra Madre and Sierra Nevada mountain ranges dominate the Mexican highlands. A volcanic mountain range divides the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. The partially volcanic Chiapas-Guatemala highlands are situated in southeastern Mesoamerica. The coastal lowlands predominate in the lowland regions. Mexico's elevated valleys and enclosed basins were the epicenter of pre-Columbian civilization. It encompassed the Petén-Yucatán Peninsula, the ancestral territory of the Mayans, which extended southward along the Gulf of Mexico. Within the subregions of Mesoamerica, a symbiotic diversity existed. Cacao beans served as currency in extensive and well-organized markets established through the interregional trade of agricultural goods, luxury items, and various commodities. Due to elevated agricultural productivity, non-farming artisans constructed stepped pyramids, produced sophisticated sculptures, pottery, and paintings, and developed advanced stone architecture. States and empires arose from extensive political cohesion. The Mesoamerican intellectual framework, documented in folding screen codices crafted from deerskin or bark paper, may have played a crucial role in distinguishing them from other New World civilizations. Its inscription on an external object, such as a statue. Teotihuacán was a hub of commerce and governance from approximately 300 BC until its abandonment in 600 AD. Archaeology has examined the site. Mesoamerican religions, called Christo-pagans by anthropologists, represent intricate syncretisms of indigenous beliefs and early Roman Catholic Christianity. Individuals have redefined Christian saints and deities as indigenous supernatural entities, some benevolent and others malevolent. Individuals present offerings or animal sacrifices at sacred sites to placate mountain and water deities. Certain spirits manifest alongside individuals as animals or natural occurrences, including lightning or shooting stars. The inability to placate malevolent spirits or witchcraft is linked to the illness. Religious life during the calendar round was founded on a ritual cycle. Each underworld was governed by a deity, and there existed 13 heavens. A priesthood possessing advanced astronomical expertise governed the system. Mesoamerican pantheons include an ancient dual creator deity, a god of royalty and warfare, a solar deity, a lunar goddess, a rain deity, and a cultural hero known as the feather serpent, among others. A significant correlation exists between mythology and religion. The Mesoamerican faith is replete with mythology. Sacred rituals and locations offer a spiritual narrative that supports symbolic actions, cult, ritual, and artifacts, temples, icons. Tales, as symbolic narratives, typically possess an unknown origin, are partially traditional, and ostensibly seek to elucidate natural events or phenomena. Myths are narratives concerning deities or superhuman entities, engaged in remarkable events or situations at an indeterminate time, separate from ordinary human experience. The Maya, Aztec, and Inca mythologies, along with their deities and spiritual practices, transcend the mundane and commonplace. The pantheons and legends of the Maya, Aztecs, and Incas are intricate, advanced, and cosmically aligned. Although Mesoamerican civilizations share specific cultural traits and traditions, each exhibits remarkable variations and elaborations of these fundamental beliefs. This book provides readers with a valuable collection of narratives and dramas from terrestrial and celestial domains and human and divine origins. According to archaeologists, Mesoamerican humans were present as early as 21,000 BCE. By 11,000 BCE, the New World, situated south of the glacial ice cap in northern North America, was inhabited by hunter-gatherer societies. Due to a more temperate climate than that of today, grazing animals flourished in highland grasslands. Following the retreat of glaciers and the encroachment of tropical forests on Mesoamerican grasslands, sedentary agriculture commenced around 7,000 BCE. Over subsequent millennia, domestic agriculture became relatively permanent due to the domestication of successful food crops, particularly mutant corn, maize, with husks. In addition to corn, they cultivated beans, squashes, chili peppers, and cotton. In the early formative period, 1500–900 BCE, enhanced agricultural productivity facilitated the emergence of early civilization. Pottery emerged in certain areas of the region as early as 2300 BCE, possibly introduced from the Andean cultures to the south. This era is considered the origin of the temple pyramid. A considerable allocation of human effort towards alternative pursuits, including the arts and commerce, occurred in a specific region, the humid and fertile lowlands of southern Veracruz and Tabasco, Mexico. Landowners vied for dominance over this fertile yet finite agricultural land, establishing the inaugural formidable Mesoamerican civilization, the Olmec. Mesoamerica peaked during the Neolithic period, with San Lorenzo recognized as the oldest known Olmec center. It is chiefly recognized for its magnificent stone monuments, particularly the colossal heads exceeding 9 feet, approximately 3 meters, in height, which may depict participants in a sacred rubber ball game. The Middle Formative Period, 900–300 BCE, marked by the prominence of the La Venta urban complex, was defined by cultural regionalism. The Zapotecs advanced significantly at Monte Alban in Mesoamerica, creating the inaugural written language and calendar. Nonetheless, Olmecs are significant at this site and throughout the Valley of Mexico. In the late formative and classic periods, from 700 to 900 CE, the Maya, Zapotec, Totonac, and Teotihuacán civilizations cultivated unique adaptations of their common Olmec heritage. The Maya achieved the pinnacle of astronomy, mathematics, calendar creation, hieroglyphic writing, and monumental architecture in the New World. In this period, Teotihuacán, in the Valley of Mexico, emerged as the capital of a political and commercial empire that spanned much of Mesoamerica. Archaeological remnants constitute the sole source of information regarding early religious phenomena. In the agricultural pre-classic periods of Zacatenco and Ticomán, approximately 1500 to the 1st century BCE, numerous clay figurines discovered in tombs offer scant evidence of religious belief. The terracotta statuettes of women may symbolize an agricultural goddess, specifically a deity of crops. The two-headed figurines discovered at Tlatilco, a late pre-classic site, may represent a supernatural entity. During the same period, clay effigies of an older man carrying an incense burner on his back represent a deity of fire. Cuicalco, located near Mexico City, is the inaugural stone monument on the Mexican plateau. In actuality, Cuicalco resembles a truncated cone, featuring a stone core and a covering of sun-dried bricks. In subsequent periods, Mexican pyramids evolved into their present configuration. It was unequivocally a religious edifice featuring a temple on the upper platform and adjacent tombs. The priest's directive was crucial to the construction of such a structure. The pre-classic cultures of the Central Highlands, transitioning from village to city and from rural to urban, constituted the concluding phase of the pre-classic era. Innovative religious concepts, artistic expressions, and emerging theocratic governments constituted a significant social and intellectual upheaval. The transition to deity-centric urban settings culminated in Teotihuacán during the early classic period. Teotihuacán. Before the Spaniards arrived, Teotihuacán was the preeminent city in the New World, located in the Valley of Teotihuacán, a recessive extension of Mexico's Valley of Mexico. It possibly housed over 150,000 inhabitants in the 6th century CE. It encompassed approximately 8 square miles, 20 square kilometers. The layout was designed on a grid plan aligned with 2 major avenues intersecting at right angles, dividing the city into quarters. The Avenue of the Dead, the principal north-south thoroughfare of the city, is oriented 16 degrees east of true north, indicating its astrological importance. No city surpassed Teotihuacán in Mesoamerica or pre-Columbian America. Teotihuacán was the preeminent civilization in Mesoamerica during its zenith in the 6th century, significantly eclipsing the Aztec Empire in influence. Some authorities assert that it served as the capital of a vast political empire. Some contend that economic and religious factors were the principal catalysts for Teotihuacán's expansion. The widespread distribution of Teotihuacán ceramics and associated traits defines an early classic horizon for archaeologists. Numerous states vied for dominance following the decline of Teotihuacán's influence around 600. The Toltecs of Tula governed central Mexico from approximately 900 to 1200 during the early post-classic period. Subsequent to the decline of the Toltecs, there was turmoil during the late post-classic period, until the defeat of Azcapotzalco in 1428. Hernán Cortés led the Spanish to subjugate this indigenous Mesoamerican empire in 1521. The Inca Empire was the largest in pre-Columbian America. Despite being located in present-day Peru, the Incas are classified as a Mesoamerican civilization. The zenith of Mesoamerican culture, religion, science, and technology was achieved before the brutal and sanguinary termination imposed by the Spanish conquistadors. By 1572, Spanish colonizers and a smallpox pandemic had subjugated the Incas in the highlands of Peru following their emergence from the highlands in the 13th century. The Maya, a group of Mesoamerican Indians, resided in southern Mexico, Guatemala, and northern Belize in the early 19th century. The Maya prevailed over Mexican and Central American civilizations before the Spanish conquest. They engaged in agriculture and constructed stone edifices and pyramid temples, utilizing a form of hieroglyphic writing predominantly interpreted by scholars. In the 21st century, around 5 million Mayans were bilingual in Spanish, utilizing 70 distinct Mayan languages. By 600 CE, Maya villages cultivated corn, maize, beans, squash, and cassava, manioc. By 200 CE, the construction of ceremonial centers resulted in the establishment of cities featuring temples, pyramids, palaces, courts, and plazas. In antiquity, the Maya extracted substantial amounts of building stone, predominantly limestone, and shaped it using harder materials such as chert. Notwithstanding the utilization of advanced irrigation and terracing techniques, their predominant agricultural practice was slash and burn. Hieroglyphic writing and advanced astronomical and calendrical systems were developed. The Maya inscribed texts in hieroglyphics on books crafted from this paper. Codices are extant books. The Maya's sculptures and relief carvings were intricate and aesthetically pleasing. Architectural structures, stone inscriptions, and reliefs constitute the primary sources of early Maya knowledge. The Olmec culture significantly impacted the early Mayan civilization. The Maya culture ascended to prominence around 250 CE and flourished until the conclusion of the Classic period, approximately 900 CE. At its zenith, the Mayan civilization encompassed over 40 cities, each with populations between 5,000 and 50,000. Tikal, Huaxactun, Copan, Bonampak, Dos Pilas, Calakmul, Palenque, and Rio Bec were prominent urban centers. At their zenith, approximately 2 million Mayans resided in the lowlands of Guatemala. The classic Maya civilization experienced a swift deterioration post-900 CE, resulting in the abandonment and subsequent overgrowth of its extensive cities and ceremonial centers by jungle flora. Certain scholars ascribe the abrupt decline to military conflicts and the depletion of arable land. Archaeological artifacts, indigenous texts inscribed in hieroglyphics by native individuals, scholarly works composed in Latin script by educated Indians, and early narratives penned in Spanish by conquerors or clergy offer insights into Maya civilization and its religious practices. Valuable information can be obtained from extant temples, tombs, sculptures, wall paintings, pottery, carved jades, shells, and bones, including depictions of deities and ritual scenes. In archaeological contexts, hieroglyphic inscriptions on monuments, artifacts, and pottery represent a paramount source. The descriptions convey information regarding ceremonies and beliefs to the extent that they can be translated. 4 native hieroglyphic manuscripts endured during the Spanish conquest regarding Mesoamerican civilization, one of the most notable early urban centers in. The Grolier Codex derives its name from the Grolier Club in New York City, where scholars first encountered the fragment in the 20th century. The museum is situated in Mexico City. These codices, inscribed on bark paper, convey astronomical computations, divinations, and rituals. The post-classic style has emulated the classical originals. After the Spanish conquest, educated indigenous individuals transcribed or summarized hieroglyphic records. Similar arguments can be made regarding the books of Chilam Balam in Yucatec Maya and the Popol Vuh in Quiché, a highland Maya language. The initial piece exhibits distinct central Mexican influences and is grounded in the mythology and cosmology of the post-classic Guatemalan Maya. Its inscription on an external object, such as a statue. Teotihuacán was a hub of commerce and governance from a The ritual of the Bacabs encompasses incantations, religious symbolism, and additional elements. It is now a crucial repository of knowledge regarding Mesoamerican civilization, one of the most notable early urban centers in pre-Columbian. It pertains to post-classic rather than classical religion. However, due to the profoundly conservative characteristics of Maya religion, much of it is probably relevant to earlier epochs. Landa's narrative additionally delineates various facets of Maya existence in 16th century Yucatan. Contemporary ethnologists' insights regarding the current Maya may enhance these archaeological, ethno-historical, and historical resources. The Guatemalan highlands retain Maya deities, ancient invocations, and the 260-day calendar. Initially, religion was more simplistic, and notions originating from sacerdotal conjecture were enforced. Teotihuacán translates to play. As astronomical knowledge progressed during the Middle Formative, it likely began to experience alterations. A complex worldview emerged with the establishment of significant centers and the construction of pyramids and temples by the late formative period, 300 BCE or earlier. The previously conceived deities of corn and rain were enhanced with venerated celestial bodies and temporal phases. A meticulously structured priesthood elucidated intricate mythology as religion grew progressively esoteric. Deciphering Mayan hieroglyphics has provided archaeologists with crucial insights into the beliefs and practices of the Mayan religion. All other calendars utilized by Mesoamerican civilizations are derived from the Mayan calendar. There were 260 designated days in the calendar and 365 days in the year. Calendar rounds comprise 52 years totaling 365 days each, totaling 18,980 days collectively. In addition to the Tzolk'in, count of days, the 260-day cycle is also known as the divinatory calendar, ritual calendar, or day calendar, AD. Archaeology has examined the site since the 19th century, and it is now a crucial repository of knowledge regarding Mesoamerican ritual days possessed various designations across the region, yet scholars contend that they were harmonized due to their application in divination. We have lost most of the specifics regarding each designated day, particularly their significant attributes. This evidence type is called epigraphic, due to its inscription on an external object, such as a statue. Teotihuacán. The Maya segmented the 365 days into 18 designated months, urinals, of 20 days each, along with 1 month of 5 nameless days, referred to as Uayeb. The Maya commemorated the unnamed days with fasting and sacrifices to deities, as they were deemed exceedingly inauspicious. In the 260-day cycle, each ordinary day was assigned a specific day number and name, whereas in the 365-day system, the day number corresponded to the month, and the month name was contained within that month. In the calendar round, each of the 18,980 days possessed distinct designations, e.g., 12 Caban, 15 CEH. The Maya civilization sculpted depictions of their leaders on stone slabs or pillars called stelae. The Maya employed the long count system for precise date representation, adorned with images and inscribed hieroglyphs, persists. This evidence type is called epigraphic, due to its inscription on an external object, such as a statue. Teotihuacán was a hub of commerce and governance from approximately 300 BC until its abandonment in 600 AD. Numerous pyramidal temples or palaces likely remain intact in the Mayan centers and cities. These structures are typically constructed from limestone blocks and adorned with numerous narrative, ritualistic, and astronomical reliefs and inscriptions, establishing Mayan art as the preeminent form of Native American art. Following the Spanish discovery of the ancient Mayan architectural sites, scholars could not ascertain the characteristics of Mayan society, the significance of its hieroglyphics, or the account of its history. Methodical investigations of Mayan sites in the 1830s resulted in deciphering a limited segment of the Mayan writing system in the early to mid-20th centuries. The Mayan religion's principal deities are the sun, moon, rain, and corn. A sacerdotal class conducted rituals and ceremonies. The remarkable advancement of mathematics and astronomy was intimately connected to Mayan religion. The apex of intellectual accomplishment in mathematics was positional notation and zero utilization. Mayan astronomy accurately calculated the solar year as 18 months of 20 days each, plus 5 days deemed inauspicious. The long count concludes a 260-day sacred year, 13 cycles of 20 designated days, representing a continuous measurement of time originating from a zero date in 3114 BCE. Mayan astronomers meticulously recorded the moon's motions to forecast solar eclipses. In contrast to the more militaristic and bloodthirsty indigenous empires of central Mexico, the Maya focused exclusively on their religious and cultural endeavors. Mid-20th century scholars erroneously concluded, based on the discovery of a fragment of the Mayan writing system, that Mayan society consisted of a priestly class of tranquil astronomers and calendar custodians sustained by a devoted peasantry. The progressive decipherment of nearly all Mayan hieroglyphic writing has yielded a more precise understanding of Mayan society and culture, albeit a less glorifying. Numerous hieroglyphs illustrate conflicts conducted by Mayan dynastic rulers and the apprehension of their aristocracy. The deities inflicted torture, mutilation, and sacrifice upon these captives. Abandonment in 600 AD. Archaeology has examined the site since the 19th century, and it is now a crucial repository of knowledge regarding Mesoamerica. The Maya believed that suffering and human sacrifice ensured fertility, exhibited devotion, and appeased the gods. Neglecting these practices would lead to cosmic disorder and chaos. Due to centuries of political and economic connections, the Mesoamerican region exhibited fundamental cohesion in intellectual, ideological, and religious aspects. Polytheistic religion categorized numerous deities according to human endeavors. Alongside deities associated with fundamental activities like warfare, procreation, and agriculture, gods pertaining to craft guilds, social hierarchies, political structures, and subdivisions existed. In antiquity, individuals venerated omnipotent deities, which resulted in human sacrifices and bloodletting. Individuals across the region venerated specific deities, including Tlaloc, the god of rain. Mesoamerican religion emphasized celestial bodies, especially the sun, moon, and Venus. Astronomer priests meticulously observed the movements of these celestial bodies with exceptional detail and precision. Mesoamerican priests established multiple calendrical systems, or time counts, partially derived from these observations for astrological purposes. They uncovered 260-day divinatory calendars and 365-day solar calendars in the local area. The existence of a pantheon of gods in ancient times has been refuted, with the assertion that the veneration of images was introduced by Toltec or Itzá invaders during the post-classic period. However, earlier Maya monuments reveal several deities prominently featured in the post-classic codices. Itzamna, the paramount deity of the Maya, is recognized as the original creator god and the sovereign of fire, thus presiding over the hearth. He is depicted in serpent form on classical stelae, grasping a ceremonial bar. The feathered serpent, referred to as Kukulkan or Quetzalcoatl by the Aztecs and Toltecs, is depicted in classic reliefs. Commerce and governance from approximately 300 BC until its abandonment in 600 AD. Archaeology has examined the site since the 19th century, and it is now a crucial repository of nearly all tomb reliefs and decorative pottery illustrate the underworld and the soul's passage. Almost all the substitutes and decorative pottery in tombs symbolize the underworld and the soul's journey to it. Maya funerary ceramics indicate that this shadowy realm was governed by numerous deities, including several ominous elder figures frequently embellished with jaguar symbols, the jaguar linked to nocturnal themes, and the underworld. The classic Maya and the post-classic Maya engaged in human sacrifice, though not to the same degree as the Aztecs. Victims presumably encompassed vanquished monarchs and aristocrats. Blood was splattered on paper or gathered as a sacrifice to the deities by piercing spines through the ears or penis, or by threading a thorn-laden cord through the tongue. By 1519, there had been 5 creations and 4 destructions within the quadripartite multi-level universe. Before the existence of the current universe, the Maya adeptly constructed and annihilated multiple worlds. The Dresden Codex forecasts that a cataclysmic flood will signal the apocalypse. While Landa's relation and the Quiche Popol Vuh lack definitive evidence, 4 worlds probably preceded this. Initially, the Earth produced humans, mindless and ungrateful to the deities. They were annihilated. Subsequently, wood generated humans, mindless, unvalued, and eradicated by a deluge. And ultimately, corn gruel resulted in humans, the ancestors of the Maya. In the Yucatec Maya pantheon, Itzamna, Iguana House, was the progeny of Hunab-Ku, one god. His spouse, Ix-Chebel-Yax, the patroness of weaving, was his consort. 4 deities, the Bacabs, upheld the firmament. 4 Itzamnas existed, corresponding to each axis of the universe, symbolizing celestial entities or 2-headed, dragon-like iguanas. The 4 cardinal directions were linked to a Bacab, a revered deity, a silk cotton tree, a bird, and corresponding colors: east red, north white, west black, and south yellow. At the center, there was a green hue. Teotihuacán was a hub of commerce and governance from approximately 300 BC until its abandonment in 600 AD. The Popol Vuh asserts that the gods fashioned the sun and the moon to enlighten the world and humankind. In various traditions, the sun, masculine, was linked to hunting and music, whereas the Mu Eminin was connected to weaving and childbirth. Initially, the sun and moon resided on Earth, but the Moon's licentious behavior resulted in their elevation to the heavens. In retribution for her betrayal, the sun allegedly extracted one of her eyes to diminish the luminosity of lunar light compared to that of the sun. The Maya believed 13 heavens encircled the Earth, supported by a colossal reptilian entity adrift in the ocean. The Maya organized 9 underworlds beneath the Earth in stratified layers. The Oxlahuntiku, a pantheon of 13 deities, governed the celestial realms, whereas the Bolontiku, a consortium of 9 deities, presided over the underworlds. A 7th century Maya crypt at Palenque, featuring 9 deities sculpted on the wall, demonstrates that these concepts were integral to classic Maya cosmology. In Maya cosmology, time held a pivotal significance. The priest astronomers posited that time constituted a grand succession of cycles devoid of origin or conclusion. They regarded time as divine, with each period personified as a deity. During the classic period, various deities were depicted through statues and sculpted panels, including the youthful corn god at Copan, the sun god at Palenque represented as an anthropomorphic disk, the 9 gods of darkness at Palenque, and a serpent god at Yaxchilan. 2 sanctuaries in Palenque exhibit foliated crosses or life trees symbolizing the corn deity. Besides its prominent fangs and large round eyes, the rain god, Chak, possesses a proboscis-like nose and a mask embellished with protruding fangs. A mask is a prevalent feature of Puuc architecture. 3 hieroglyphic manuscripts, particularly the Dresden Codex, illustrate deities whose names are exclusively derived from post-classic texts. Ixchel, the lunar deity, and Kinichahau, the solar deity, were intimately linked with Itzamna, the sovereign of the celestial realm in the pantheon. Ixchel was frequently depicted as a malevolent older woman, unlike Itzamna's benevolent reputation. Earth deities predominated in Maya territory, whereas wind deities were considered lesser entities, such as a statue. Teotihuacán was a hub of commerce and governance from approximately 300 BC until its abandonment. The rain was heralded by the croaking of frogs. Corn represented the deity of vegetation, who donned a headdress adorned with an ear of corn. As Amun, he is frequently portrayed battling Arpuch, the deity associated with the 6th-day sign Simi, death, and the ruler of the 9th hell, a skeletal figure. Other deities linked to death include Ek Chua, a god of war and patron of merchants and cacao cultivators, and Ixtab, a goddess of suicide. The post-classic period witnessed the emergence of central Mexican influences, including the Toltec feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl, referred to as Kukulkan in Yucatan, and Gucumats in Guatemala. The Maya gods could grant health, bountiful harvests, and plentiful game or inflict disease and famine, prompting a posture of humble supplication from the people. The Maya appeased the deities with supplications, sustenance, beverages, and incense. The Maya culture was defined by a profound sense of sin and a conviction in predestination. The priests employed their expertise in astronomy and divination to construct dwellings and pursue hunting. Humankind must acquiesce to the laws of nature. The classic Maya interred their deceased beneath the floors of their residences. The Maya employed subterranean chambers to confine high priests or influential lords. In Yucatan, it was believed that the deceased descended to the 9 underworlds, namely Mental and Xibalba. Similar to central Mexico, the Maya did not subscribe to the notion of a celestial paradise, such as a statue. Teotihuacán was a hub of commerce and governance from approximately 300 BC until its abandonment in 600 AD. Numerous sacrifices were offered in exchange for divine favor, including animals, birds, insects, fish, agricultural products, flowers, rubber, jade, and blood drawn from the tongue, ears, arms, legs, and genitals. Inscriptions at Tikal, murals at Bonampak, 2 stelae from Piedras Negras, painted ceramic vessels, and indigenous manuscripts all attest to human sacrifice during the Classic period. This practice was rare in central Mexico until the post-Classic era. Before ceremonies and sacrifices, individuals frequently prayed for material gains, either while squatting or standing, engaged in fasting, maintained a state of purity for 260 days, and performed bloodletting. Numerous instances of human sacrifice are depicted in Toltec Maya art, including arrow shooting, beheading, and heart extraction. Contemporary Mexico City in Mexico, 65 kilometers, 40 miles, northeast of the Federal District. Teotihuacán. Notwithstanding the Spanish conquest, Christian pagan rituals entailing human sacrifice through heart extraction or crucifixion persisted post-conquest. The final documented case among the Chamulas of Chiapas occurred in 1868. Priests adorned in jeweled robes and feathered headdresses are frequently depicted in classical sculptures. Mexico, 65 kilometers, 40 miles, northeast of the Federal District. Teotihuacán translates. Landa characterized the priesthood as hereditary. The priests were called Akin, meaning he of the sun. Nacoms incised the victims' chests and restrained their limbs, while Chileans foretold the future utilizing sacred texts. Certain priests who engaged in divination and prophecy utilized hallucinogenic substances. Rigorous and intricate ritualistic practices occurred on designated auspicious days. A prevalent characteristic of numerous rituals included the presentation of incense, pom, the consumption of balche, a fermented beverage made from honey and bark, the bloodletting from ears and tongues, the sacrifice of animals and humans in later periods, and the performance of dance. Before serving, performers were mandated to fast and refrain from sexual activity. On New Year's Day, special ceremonies were conducted to commemorate the year-bearer, the Tzolk'in sign of the day. A revival of pottery, garments, and various possessions occurred. The second month, Uo, was assigned to Itzamna, the fifth month, Zek, to the Bakabs, the sixth month, Zul, to Kukulkan, the 10th month, Yax, to Venus, the 13th month, Mak, to the rain deities, and the 15th month, Muan, to the cocoa tree deity. Mol and Chen created new idols in the 8th and 9th months.
Want to elevate your travel experience? Here's how. With a Delta SkyMiles Reserve American Express card, you can relax before your flight in the Delta Sky Club with up to 15 visits per medallion year. And now through July 15th, 2026, you can earn up to 125,000 bonus miles, so you're closer to your next adventure. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve card. Check out the new design at www.delta.com/Spotify. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply.
The Chilambalam texts indicate that Mexican immigrants participated in sexual practices that were completely alien to Maya culture. The classic and post-classic Maya engaged in a Middle American ritual ball game, as Tikal, Copan, and Chichen Itza demonstrated. Neither Landa nor Mayapan references a court at Mayapan. Consequently, the Yucatec ceased participating despite its status as central Mexico's most significant game. Uxmal and Chichen Itza provide evidence of phallic rites imported from the Gulf Coast to the Yucatan. In pre-Columbian times, the Maya Indians widely believed in witchcraft. Herbal remedies are conventional therapeutic practices that utilize medicinal plants or bloodletting, accompanied by magical formulas, incantations, and prayers. Because of their dual functions as prophets and healers of ailments, individuals designated sorcerers and medicine men as Amen, signifying he who knows. During the classic to post-classic periods, the Maya religion developed with Mexican beliefs, with an increasing emphasis on sun worship and human sacrifice. Compared to other pre-Columbian civilizations, Maya religious thought is distinguished by its exceptional sophistication in mathematical and astronomical knowledge, integrated with mythological concepts. The ancient Maya, alongside the Zervanites of Iran, were among the few civilizations in history that venerated time. Aztec priests could not grasp the concept of eternal time or its bearers, the divine epochs, similar to their Maya counterparts of the first millennium. Nonetheless, corn-cultivating peasants upheld a straightforward, naturalistic faith that has partially persisted among the Christianized Maya and the unevangelized Lacandons. Mayan deities. Besides regulating vegetation overall, the corn deity adorned an ear of corn as a headdress. As the patron of the sixth-day sign, Timi, death, and ruler of the ninth hell, Amun is occasionally portrayed in conflict with Apuch, the deity of death. The deity of death, a skeletal entity, governs the ninth circle of hell and symbolizes the sixth-day sign, Simi, death. The Mayan deities of death were known by various appellations. They fashioned the world, the human body, and the soul as antithetical counterparts to the celestial deities. Numerous creatures, apparitions and deities of death inhabited the underworld. Deer hunters and headhunters were occasionally portrayed as deities of death. In Mayan mythology, Bacab refers to four brothers who upheld the multi-layered sky from their respective positions at the four cardinal points, with their arms elevated. The brothers were presumably the progeny of Itzamna, the paramount deity, and Ixchel, the goddess of weaving, medicine, and childbirth. Alternatively, the Bacabs might represent four manifestations of one deity. Each Bacab governed a 4-year cycle. Given that the Bacab god governed these years, the Maya considered them the most consequential. The Mayan religious and calendrical systems were founded on 4 cardinal directions: east, red; north, white; west, black; and south, yellow. The Bolontiku are the 9 deities of the underworld. During the post-classic period, the priests responsible for restraining the arms and legs of sacrificial victims at Chichen Itza were referred to as chances. A white deity was linked to the north, a red deity to the east, a black deity to the west, and a yellow deity to the south. Alongside Chak, there existed 4 additional principal Mayan deities, known as the chances. In post-classic Mayan and Toltec archaeological sites, the reclining figures termed Chak's Mul are thought to symbolize rain deities. After the Spanish conquest, Chaks became linked with Christian saints and often manifested on horseback. Chak wields his lightning axe against the clouds to generate thunder and precipitation. Tlaloc, the Aztec deity of rain, is closely associated with Chak. Banquets were traditionally held for Chak to solicit his provision of rain. Occasionally, to restore a productive relationship with the rain deity, sacrificial victims were submerged in wells and drowned. Pre-conquest codices or manuscripts often illustrate the deities of death and war in depictions of human sacrifice. Several malevolent underworld deities were identified as Sizin, including Apuch, Sibalba, and Yumsimil. In the current codices, Sizin uproots or annihilates trees cultivated by Chak, the rain deity, symbolically representing the dualistic essence of the Maya religion. Ceramics and codices frequently portray Sizin as a dancing skeleton, wielding a cigarette. The most notable characteristic of his death collar is the severed eyes suspended by their optic nerves. The Spanish conquest conflated Sizin with the Christian devil. The Yucatec Maya venerates a creator deity, Hunab-Ku, one god. During the pre-Columbian era, the Mayan god Itzamna, Mayan iguana house, governed the heavens and day and night. His manifestations occasionally assumed the guise of 4 deities encompassing the world, referred to as Itzamnas. The Itzamnas were linked to particular cardinal directions and colors in Mesoamerica: east with red, north with white, west with black, and south with yellow. Besides providing humanity with writings and the calendar, Itzamna was also a cultural hero. Kinich Ahau, the sun deity, and the distant creator Hunab-Ku were occasionally linked to Itzamna. The moon goddess Ixchel may have represented a feminine aspect of God. Ixchel, alternatively referred to as Ixchel, occupied a significant role in Mayan culture. Ixchel, frequently portrayed as a malevolent older woman with negative attributes, was a patroness of feminine arts and crafts. Itzamna may have been expressed through her. In Mayan mythology, Kinich Ahau is the deity of the sun. Most representations portray him as a middle-aged individual with a hooked nose, prominent crossed eyes, and a sharpened upper incisor. He might have been perceived as a manifestation of the supreme deity Itzamna, the guardian of one of the 4 years within the 52-year cycle. Some legends assert that Itzamna's brother will annihilate the world by descending from the heavens and unleashing his jaguars upon humanity. Kukulkan, a principal deity of the ancient Mexican pantheon, symbolizes the feathered serpent and is equivalent to Quetzalcoatl. The Teotihuacán civilization, 3rd to 8th century CE, illustrated feathered serpents in the central plateau. The Teotihuacán civilization regarded Kukulkan Quetzalcoatl as a deity of earth and water, intimately linked to Tlaloc, the god of rain. In the heavens, 13 deities exist, referred to as the Oxlahuntiku. During the 15th and early 16th centuries, the Aztecs governed an extensive empire in central and southern Mexico. The Aztecs, thought to have originated in northern Mexico, were referred to as Aztlán, White Land. Lake Texcoco, Tenochca, after a namesake ancestor, is mystically designated Metzliapan, Moon Lake. Tenochtitlan was derived from Tenochca, while Mexica gave rise to the city's name that ultimately replaced the Aztec capital and the surrounding valley, which subsequently became the name of the entire country of Mexico. The Aztecs referred to themselves as Culhua Mexica, in tribute to Culhuacan, the epicenter of civilization in the Valley of Mexico. The Aztec culture originated as a tribe of hunters and gatherers on the northern Mexican plateau before migrating to Mesoamerica, likely in the 12th century CE. Aztlán may, however, be a mythical location. Their southward migration was a component of a broader demographic shift associated with or resulting from the Toltec civilization. In 1325, they established Tenochtitlan, the principal hub of their empire, on islands in Lake Texcoco. An impressive irrigation system and sophisticated swamp reclamation techniques facilitated the Aztec Empire's establishment of a formidable state and, ultimately, a kingdom. These methods rendered the state affluent and populous due to its elevated productivity. Tenochtitlan attained supremacy in central Mexico during the reign of its coatl, 1428-40. By 1519, Tenochtitlan had established dominion over an empire of 400 to 500 small states, encompassing approximately 5 to 6 million inhabitants across 80,000 square miles, 270-200 square kilometers, through trade and conquest. Tenochtitlan. At its zenith, Tenochtitlan encompassed over 5 square miles, 13 square kilometers, and housed more than 140,000 residents, rendering it the most densely populated settlement constructed by a Mesoamerican civilization. The Aztec state possessed a robust military apparatus, rendering it a despotism. The priestly and bureaucratic classes managed the empire, whereas serfs, indentured servants, and enslaved individuals formed the lower strata of society. In the caste and class-divided Aztec society, which exhibited vertical fluidity, valor in warfare was the most reliable means of advancement. The ascension of the Aztec Empire from legend to dominion. In the New World, the Inca Empire was the sole civilization to surpass the Aztec Empire, and the ingenuity of their culture is likened to that of other prominent ancient civilizations in America and Europe. The Aztec culture, originating from the mythical land of Aztlán, first encountered the advanced Toltec civilization of central Mexico, centered in the grand city of Tula, Mérida, which featured pyramids, temples, public edifices, sculptures, private dwellings, and ball courts. Although Tula and the Toltecs were in their prime, the Aztecs were experiencing a decline upon their emergence. A significant cultural disaster transpired in the 12th century CE due to internal social strife and political and religious discord. Groups of hunters and gatherers migrated from the arid plateau of northern Mexico to the fertile, densely populated central region, contributing to the disorder. Significant Toltec centers, such as Tula, also endured assaults and devastation. The Archaeologists settled in Tenayuca during the 1100s, followed by the Chichimecs in the 1200s. The Otomi governed Xaltocan. The Tepanec conquered Azcapotzalco, and the Aztecs emerged thereafter. All Nahuatl speakers except the Otomi utilized the language. The Aztecs roamed between the 12th and early 13th centuries in pursuit of new settlements. The Chichimecs established their capitals in Tenayuca and subsequently in Texcoco, under the leadership of Xolotl. The Toltecs, in alliance with Xolotl's Chichimecs, solidified their position in Culhuacan. A relative tranquility and cultural advancement prevailed in the Valley of Mexico during this confederation. The Aztecs advanced agricultural techniques and other technological expertise in proximity to the ruins of Tula during this period. Nevertheless, their stay was brief. In Aztec tradition, a nopal cactus with a serpent in its beak signifies a permanent dwelling, represented by an eagle atop it. Their calendar indicates that their pilgrimage concluded in the year referred to as Two Houses, 1325 CE. Older tribe members observed an eagle, cactus, and serpent on a diminutive island in Lake Texcoco. Adjacent to the temple, they constructed the initial residences that would evolve into the formidable city of Tenochtitlan. 5 centuries later, the national flag of Mexico illustrates and commemorates the narrative of the city's foundation. No authority in the Valley of Mexico had asserted control over the island encircled by swamps, where the Aztecs sought sanctuary. The 3 dominant factions in the valley occupied the territory surrounding Tenochtitlan: the Chichimec of Texcoco, the Toltec of Culhuacan, and the Tepanec of Azcapotzalco. By 1428, the Aztec ruler Itzcoatl, Obsidian Snake, and his chief advisor Tlacaelel orchestrated the conquest of their former allies and overlords. The Aztecs leveraged their strategic position to support the Tepanec in a war of expansion against the Toltecs, Chichimec, and other neighboring tribes. The Aztec Empire ultimately expanded to encompass the majority of contemporary Mexico under a series of ambitious monarchs in the 15th century. The success of the Aztec Empire's expansion is founded on 3 fundamental principles. A diminutive nomadic tribe established an empire within a century, from the early 14th century to the early 15th century, primarily due to the Aztec religion, the economy of the Valley of Mexico, and the Aztec socio-political structure. Huitzilopochtli was the solar deity of the Aztec faith. He contended daily in the heavens, returning to his mother, Coatlicue, to restore his vigor for the struggle against darkness. Designated as the people of the sun, Huitzilopochtli necessitated human blood to sustain life. This religious duty led to warfare, yielding captives for the sun deity. In Tenochtitlan, the Aztecs ceremonially sacrificed prisoners from across Mexico as their influence expanded, frequently by excising their still-beating hearts. Chinampas, inaccurately termed floating gardens, were raised-field agricultural systems that constituted the economic foundation of Aztec dominance in the Valley of Mexico. These chinampas were constructed by accumulating fertile soil from the lake bed between parallel ditches or canals to create elevated ridges. The temperate climate and ample irrigation facilitated multiple annual harvests. The exceptional productivity of these systems resulted in a significant population density in the Valley of Mexico and the emergence of large urban centers. In the early 16th century, certain cities may have boasted populations nearing or surpassing 100,000, while the valley's total population fluctuated around 2,000. Alongside its substantial population and economic resources, the Valley of Mexico featured an intriguing network of lakes: Texcoco, Chalco, Xochimilco, Xaltoca, and Zumpango, interconnected naturally and artificially. This characteristic rendered the Valley of Mexico pivotal to power in the country's central region. The extensive system of lake-based transportation facilitated early economic and political cohesion in the valley, despite the absence of the wheel and domesticated pack animals. Aztec merchants, Pochteca, were structured into influential guilds that initiated wars independently and dispatched trading expeditions in Central America, likely adhering to an ancient tradition. The Aztecs collected geographic information as their merchants traversed hostile regions, utilizing it to create maps for economic and military objectives. Anthropologists persist in debating the levels and functions of the intricate socio-political structure of Aztec imperialism, which Spanish chroniclers misinterpreted. Calpulli, big houses, pseudo-family units formed in Tenochtitlan, are sometimes viewed as indicators of egalitarianism. However, the presence of social stratification cannot be overlooked. The existence of an Aztec hereditary nobility has prompted the characterization of Aztec society as feudal. The dynamics between these noble factions and the Aztec monarchy, along with land ownership, differed from Old World feudalism due to the absolute power held by the Aztec monarchy. Codices compiled by Aztec officials during Montezuma II's reign, 1502-20, indicate that the empire was segmented into provinces, each contributing tribute based on regional production. A complex political, military, and religious bureaucracy existed, comprising governors, tax collectors, judicial courts, military garrisons, and communication services. In addition to their vigorous political maneuvers, the Aztecs managed to subjugate their allies, Texcoco and Tacuba, and launched military campaigns that extended into Central America. The arrival of Spanish explorers in 1519 curtailed the expansion and societal development of the Aztec Empire. Hernán Cortés captured and executed Montezuma II. The empire ended in 1521 when the Spanish seized Tenochtitlan from Cuitláhuac and Cuauhtémoc. Before the annihilation of the Aztec Empire, the Aztec calendar, derived from the Mayan calendar, served as a chronological system in the Valley of Mexico. Like the Mayan calendar, the Aztec calendar consisted of 260 ritual days and 365 civil days. The ritual cycle, known as Tonalpohualli, comprised an organized list of 20 designated days and numbered days ranging from 1 to 13. The ritual year comprised 20 cycles, each linked to a distinct deity. The 13-day cycle held particular religious significance. As each designated day corresponded to a specific god, scholars posit that combinations of ruling deities were employed for divination. The civil year consisted of 18 months, each containing 20 days, supplemented by an additional 5 days termed Nemontemi, regarded as inauspicious. Every 52 years, Aztec rituals and civil matters were renewed, akin to the Mayan calendar during the binding up of the years or the new fire ceremony. It was essential to extinguish all sacred and domestic fires in preparation. After the ceremony, priests ignited a new sacred fire on the chest of the sacrificial victim, prompting the populace to rekindle their hearths and celebrate with feasting. Tonalpuque, a priest who interpreted signs and numbers for events such as births, marriages, the departure of traders to distant lands, and the election of rulers every 52 years, conducted the binding up of the year's ceremony. According to the deities governing the days and the 13-day cycle, each day was categorized as lucky, unlucky, or neutral. Secoatl, one snake, was regarded as auspicious by traders, Chicomezochitl, seven flower, by scribes and weavers, and Nahui Ehecatl, four wind, by magicians. Individuals born on the day of Cheocelotl, one jaguar, were destined to die on the sacrificial stone. Those born on the day of Ometochtli, two rabbit, were fated to become inebriates, among other associations. The Tonalpohualli influenced all facets of public and private life. A circular calendar stone, 12 feet, 3.7 meters, in diameter and weighing approximately 25 tons, is exhibited at the National Museum of Anthropology in Mexico City. The center features Tonatiuh's visage, encircled by 4 square panels commemorating the deity's previous incarnations, symbolizing the world's 4 preceding ages. Signs encircling these panels denote the 20 days of the Aztec month. The Aztec religious system was arguably the most intricate facet of their culture. It fundamentally shared numerous cosmological beliefs with preceding civilizations, notably the Maya's conviction that the current Earth is the final iteration in a succession of creations, situated between 13 heavens and 9 underworlds. Mesoamerican cultures significantly influenced the syncretistic nature of Aztec religion. The Aztec pantheon comprised deities such as Huitzilopochtli, the god of war, Tonatiuh, the god of the sun, Tlaloc, the god of rain, and Quetzalcoatl, the god of the feathered serpent, who served as both a deity and a cultural hero. The ancient populace engaged in human sacrifice, offering a victim's heart to the sun god, while bloodletting was also prevalent. Priests conducted intricate rituals and ceremonies intricately linked to Aztec religion. Numerous Mesoamerican cultures adhered to the Aztec calendar, which featured a solar year of 365 days and a sacred year of 260 days. These two cycles operated concurrently, culminating in a 52-year cycle. The Aztecs' religious ideology was largely influenced by Mesoamerican cultures and their contemporaries, leading to confusion regarding Aztec religion due to the civilization's ongoing assimilation and reorganization of these diverse religious traditions. Likewise, the religious requirements of Tenochtitlan transformed from a rudimentary agrarian society as the empire grew, and Tenochtitlan developed into a diverse community. The elite sought a more sophisticated and philosophical ideology. The Aztec method of engaging with the supernatural involved a complex calendar of elaborate ceremonies conducted by a priesthood, serving as intermediaries between the deities and humanity. Many of these events were public, allowing the populace to observe from afar. The majority of ceremonies encompassed: the priests perform a ritual purification to prepare themselves for contact. Offerings and sacrifices are rendered to obtain the favor of the deities. Masked artists enact theatrical interpretations of myths via dance, song, and procession. The extensive pantheon suggests that each deity likely had a unique ceremony. Contemporary ceremonies honoring saints in Mexico may have significantly contributed to recreation. Asceticism and sacrifice were prerequisites for engaging with the supernatural in the Aztec religion. A priest was required to lead a simple, austere life and maintain celibacy. They engaged in continual self-sacrifice by piercing their tongues and ears with barbed cords as an act of penitence. Human sacrifice reached its zenith in Aztec culture, where religion, warfare, and politics were intricately linked. According to Aztec ideology, sacrificial victims served as the objective of Aztec warfare. However, as indicated by tribute lists, Aztec warfare also possessed a more pragmatic dimension, making it erroneous to view it solely as a religious phenomenon. The deities necessitated priests to uphold their worship. Spanish records indicate that Aztec priesthoods constituted some of the most intricate institutions. Each temple and deity was linked to specific priestly orders. Under these orders, priests were tasked with conducting ceremonies, educating novices, practicing astrology, and managing temple lands. The high priests Tlaloc and Huitzilopochtli presided over the entire priestly hierarchy in Tenochtitlan. Moreover, the state designated various ranks of priests to particular rural communities. In addition to the Calmecacs, the priests operated several educational institutions to train the nobility and a limited number of commoners. While most novices departed from the priesthood to engage in economic and political roles, some remained, permanently joining the priesthood and residing in Calmecacs. The Aztecs likely conducted their religious practices predominantly at home, utilizing specialized household altars. Archaeological artifacts frequently include small baked clay idols representing specific deities, and incense burners used in these domestic rituals. The Aztecs believed there were 4 worlds preceding the current universe, each obliterated by cataclysms. Each sun culminated in the total destruction of humanity, The sun was the fifth in the Aztec cosmology, and the Aztecs identified themselves within it. During the cosmic conflict, the sun's people were expected to supply tlaxcaltilistli, nourishment, for themselves. In its absence, the sun would not be present. All Aztec deities provided blood and hearts to guarantee their well-being and survival. Jaguars initially annihilated humanity. The initial sun was named For-Jaguar, or Nahui Ocelotl. The Aztecs regarded this animal as the natural embodiment, animal disguise, of Tezcatlipoca, the creator deity. A mystical hurricane named Nahui Ehecatl, Four-Wind, transformed all humans into monkeys after the second sun. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, the deity of wind, instigated that calamity as Ehecatl. Tlaloc, the deity of thunder and lightning, governed during the third sun, Nahuiquayahuitl, for rain. Following Nahui-Atl, the fourth sun, a 52-year deluge concluded the era. Only 2 individuals survived, taking refuge in a colossal cypress tree. Tezcatlipoca transformed them into dogs due to their insubordination. Quetzalcoatl fashioned humanity as it exists presently. Xolotl, the canine-headed deity, aided the feathered serpent in resurrecting the ancient deceased by anointing their bones with his own blood. Nahui Olin, the sun, would experience a cataclysmic event termed a four-earthquake. Apparition-like entities referred to as tsitsimamis in the West would slay individuals. Individuals perceived death and devastation perpetually endangered the universe, rendering it unstable. Another emphasized the imperative of making sacrifices to the deities. Quetzalcoatl's self-sacrifice enabled humanity to emerge from the primordial bones of Mictlan, the place of death. In a parallel manner, the sun and moon were formed. The gods convened in Teotihuacán and ignited a colossal fire. 2 deities, Nanahuatzin, a lesser god afflicted with sores, and Techistecatl, an opulently adorned god, leapt into the flames. Thereafter, the sun could not traverse the sky without the other gods offering their blood. They were compelled to sacrifice themselves. Aztec cosmology segmented a vast disk, resembling the Earth, into 4 quadrants oriented towards the cardinal directions. Akal, east; Kali, west; Tecpatl, north; Toctli, south, and specific deities were associated with each of the 4 cardinal directions, each symbolizing the year-bearer, east red or green, west white, north black, south blue, and a corresponding color, east red or green, west white, north black, south blue. Wehueteotl, the fire deity, was linked to the 5th cardinal direction due to the hearth's central position within the dwelling. The supreme couple resided there, encircled by the heavenly water, Ilhuicatl of the ocean. The deceased was required to traverse 9 rivers, representing the 9 hells of Mictlan, beneath the divine earth. The number 13 was deemed fortunate, whereas 9 was regarded as highly unfortunate. Before the Aztec incursion into the valley, the ancient tribes of central Mexico venerated fertility deities. The veneration of these deities was of paramount significance in Aztec religion. Tlaloc, the deity of rain and lightning, presided over a cadre of rain gods known as the Tlaloques, who resided on mountaintops. Chalchiotlicue, known as one who wears a jade skirt, governed the freshwater domains, whereas Huixtecihuatl presided over the saltwater realms. Numerous earth goddesses were linked to soil fertility and women's fertility, including Teteoinan, mother of the gods; Coatlicue, one who wears a snake skirt; Tzihuacoatl, serpent woman; and Itzpapalotl, obsidian butterfly. Centeotl, the fertility goddess, and Xochipilli, the flower goddess, emerged from them. They also represented the earth that consumed corpses and ingested blood, rendering them martial deities. Tlazolteotl, a goddess of the Huastec culture, presided over sexual love and the confession of sins. Totec was not only a deity of spring and the renewal of vegetation, but also the patron of the Goldsmiths' Guild. Individuals commemorated him by executing and skinning human sacrifices. Ancient sedentary populations, including the Otomi, subscribed to the notion of a supreme couple. The birth dates of Ometecutli, Lord of Duality, and Omechihuatl, Lady of Duality, dictated an individual's fate. In Aztec culture, Intonan, Intota, our mother, our father. The earth and the sun symbolized their fate. Earth was likewise linked to Huehueteotl, the deity of fire. It is essential to count the 400 rabbits, Chinson Totochtin, the deities of small crops, along with Ometochtli, the god of fermented beverages, and Tepoztecatl, the god of intoxication. Huitzilopochtli, the Aztec deity of the sun and war, was regarded as the reincarnation of the warrior of the south, the triumphant sun at noon. Utilizing his Xucoatl, turquoise serpent, he annihilated the 400 southerners and the nocturnal deity Coyolxauhqui, who had already emerged from the earth goddess Coatlicue. According to a Toltec legend, he was born near Tula. Tezcatlipoca, the deity of the nocturnal firmament, safeguarded the youthful warriors. Quetzalcoatl, an ancient Teotihuacán deity associated with agriculture and fertility, was actualized and metamorphosed into a morning star. The Toltecs venerated him for his contributions to writing, the calendar, the arts, and his role as a wind deity. Aztec beliefs regarding the afterlife and the supernatural realm were also syncretic. The Teotihuacán frescoes indicate that the ancient rain god Tlaloc's paradise welcomed individuals who perished from drowning, lightning strikes, leprosy, dropsy, gout, or pulmonary ailments. The conviction was that he dispatched their souls to paradise following their demise. Quarteca, eagle people, comprised warriors who perished in battle or on the sacrificial stone, merchants who were slain during their journeys, and women who died in childbirth, subsequently becoming Cihuateteo, divine women. In the northern deserts beneath Mictlan, the realm of Mictlantecutli, the skeletal masked god of death, all other deceased individuals resided. They vanished completely after 4 years of journeying in the 9th circle of hell. The deceased received offerings 1, 2, 3, and 4 years post-funeral. After the funeral, the living and the deceased terminated all connections. Conversely, individuals believed hummingbirds would reappear on Earth 4 years after the sun's entourage traversed the sky. At night, the Cihuateteo manifested at the crossroads and afflicted passers-by with paralysis. The individual acquired a limited understanding of the Aztec cosmology. The Tonalpohualli, or calendrical round, dictated his fate. His existence in the afterlife lacked a moral foundation. Upholding the global order and combating the deities was his obligation. Witchcraft, omens, and portents significantly influenced daily existence. The coexistence of a pessimistic outlook with Aztec dynamism is remarkable in itself. Chinson Totochtin, 400 rabbits, were minor fertility deities associated with agriculture, including Ometochtli, the god of Octli, fermented agave, and Tepoztecatl, the deity of intoxication, who also symbolizes alcohol. She's also referred to as Matlalquai, she who wears a green skirt, and Chalchihuitlicu, Nahuatl, she who wears a jade skirt. In Aztec mythology, rivers, lakes, streams, and other freshwater bodies are deities. In Aztec cosmology, the Salt Lady presided over the fourth sun, resulting in the initial cultivation of maize. She was the spouse, in certain myths a sibling, of the rain deity Tlaloc. Serpents and other aquatic deities were frequently linked to her. Huxocihuatl, Salt Lady, is distinct from the Salt Lady, the deity of salt waters, the guild, and promiscuous women. Atlicu, Nahuatl, serpent skirt, is an Aztec earth goddess representing both creation and destruction. She is the progenitor of both deities and humans. Snakes prevail on her visage and garment. Serpents symbolize fertility. Her breasts are sagging. She sustains herself on corpses akin to the earth's consumption of all that perishes, and her fingers and toes are taloned. The earth goddess, referred to as Teotihuacán, mother of the gods, and Tochi, our grandmother, is also known as Cihuacoatl, snake woman, akin to Coatlicue, also called Tonantzin, our mother, and Tlazolteotl, our wrongdoing goddess. The Aztec night goddess Oyolxauhqui was annihilated by the newborn deity Huitzilopochtli, using his turquoise serpent, Coatl. Huehueteotl periodically employed blood and fire, two of his fundamental elements, to placate God. Fire and earth constitute two of Huehueteotl's attributes. In Aztec mythology, he is frequently linked to Xiuhtecuhtli, the deity of fire, heat, and day. In contrast, Xiuhtecuhtli, portrayed as youthful and powerful, appears aged and frail with a beard. Young boys offered diminutive swamp creatures such as snakes, lizards, and frogs to Huehueteotl. The priests would furnish the boys with sustenance as a recompense. Huitzilopochtli, a primary deity in Aztec religion, is often depicted as an eagle or a hummingbird in art. The eagle represented Coatlicue, the mother of Huitzilopochtli, and is a manifestation of the Aztecs' multifaceted earth goddess, having conceived him upon receiving a ball of hummingbird feathers, i.e., his soul, from the heavens. The Aztecs believed that deceased warriors were reincarnated as hummingbirds. Thus, his name signified the resurrected warrior from the south. Xiuhpili, also called the Turquoise Prince and Totec, designated Huitzilopochtli as the resuscitated warrior of the south. Additional appellations include Huitzilin, meaning hummingbird, and Ipokl, meaning left. Historically, Huitzilopochtli was born on Cartepec Mountain near Tula. Huitzilopochtli's brother, Chenson Huitznawa, moon goddess Coyolxauhqui, and his sister conspired to eliminate him. The Xiuhcoatl, turquoise snake, thwarted and annihilated their scheme. In Aztlan, the ancestral homeland of the Aztecs, Huitzilopochtli was the deity who directed them to the Valley of Mexico. During the journey, priests bore his effigy, resembling a hummingbird on their shoulders. And at night, they perceived his voice issuing commands. Moreover, Huitzilopochtli established Tenochtitlan as his capital in 1325 CE, on a diminutive rocky island within the lake of the Valley of Mexico. The national flag of Mexico features an eagle consuming a snake while perched on a rock, the location of God's inaugural shrine. Subsequent Aztec monarchs enlarged the shrine until Emperor Ahuitzotl consecrated a magnificent temple in 1487. The Aztecs performed bathing rituals and sacrificed war captives or enslaved individuals at Huitzilopochtli, a sacred spring located in present-day Churubusco, near Mexico City. The Aztecs, referring to themselves as people of the sun, believed that Huitzilopochtli required daily sustenance, Tlaxcaltilistli, from human blood and hearts. Cuautlahuanitl, the eagle who rises, presented the sacrificed souls to the sun and incinerated them in Coaxicali, the eagle's vase. The Cuauhteca, eagle's people, were warriors offered as sacrifices to Huitzilopochtli during combat. Legend states that the warriors initially joined the sun's radiant entourage, subsequently residing in the bodies of hummingbirds for 4 years before their demise. Panquetzalitztli, Feast of the Flags of Precious Feathers, was celebrated in reverence to Huitzilopochtli and his subordinate Painal, he who hastens, named for the priest who embodied him and traversed the city to conduct a procession. Quetzalcoatl Totec Tlamacasqui, Huitzilopochtli's high priest, was one of the two Aztec high priests alongside Tlaloc. The temple plaza of the deity was populated with warriors and courtesans engaging in nightly dances throughout the month. The priests incinerated a large bark paper serpent representing God's principal weapon. Finally, an effigy of Huitzilopochtli, crafted from ground maize, was ritually slain with an arrow and apportioned among priests and novices. Those who consumed Huitzilopochtli's body were obligated to serve him for 1 year. Huitzilopochtli's depictions frequently incorporate hummingbird feathers as protective gear and headgear. His face, legs, arms, and lower body were painted blue, whereas the upper body was painted black. An ornate, feathered headdress was embellished with a turquoise snake and a circular shield. Quetzalcoatl, a principal deity of the ancient Mexican pantheon, is known as the feathered serpent, derived from the Nahuatl words Quetzali, meaning tail feather of the serpent bird, Pharamacris mochino, and coatl, meaning snake. Intanan and Intota, the exalted pair, our mother, our father, symbolize the earth and the sun. Metecutli, lord of the duality, and Omichihuatl, lady of the duality, governed the 13th heaven and dictated the timing of human births, thereby determining their destinies. Feathered snakes emerged on the central plateau during the Teotihuacán civilization, 3rd–8th century CE. Quetzalcoatl was perceived as a vegetation god, an earth and water deity intimately linked with Tlaloc, the rain god. The cult of Quetzalcoatl underwent a significant transformation due to the influx of Nahua-speaking tribes from the north. Throughout its ceremonial existence, Tula venerated Quetzalcoatl as the deity of the morning and evening stars. The Toltec culture, 9th to 12th centuries, based in Tula, emphasized warfare and human sacrifice associated with the veneration of celestial bodies. The Aztecs esteemed Quetzalcoatl as the patron of priests, the creator of the calendar, and the guardian of goldsmiths and various artisans. Quetzalcoatl represented death and resurrection as the morning and evening stars. He was likewise connected to Venus. Xolotl, a canine-headed deity, accompanied him to Mictlan's subterranean realm to collect ancient bones. Consecrated by his blood, those bones generated contemporary humanity. Quetzalcoatl governed Tula, the Toltec capital, as per a significant collection of myths. The sole victims he presented were snakes, avians, and butterflies. Through acts of black magic, the god of the night sky, Tezcatlipoca, banished him from Tula. After descending to the coast of the divine water, the Atlantic Ocean, Quetzalcoatl self-immolated on a pyre, re-emerging as Venus. Another account depicts him as set forth on a raft, constructed of snakes, and vanishing beyond the eastern horizon. The Teotihuacán culture, characterized by its influential principles of priestly governance and pacifism, prevailed during the initial century of the Toltec civilization. A military elite usurped authority from the clergy, as northern migrants instigated a social and religious upheaval. Legend states that Tezcatlipoca vanquished the feathered serpent. The classic theocracy concluded following Quetzalcoatl's defeat. Maritime expeditions to the east may be linked to the Itzar tribe's incursion into Yucatan, characterized by a significant Toltec influence. Sir-Acatl, one reed, served as the calendar designation for Quetzalcoatl. Upon arriving on the Mexican Gulf Coast in 1519, Montezuma II perceived the Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés and his associates as divine messengers. Besides his serpent form, Quetzalcoatl was occasionally represented as a bearded man. As Ehecatl, the wind deity, he donned a mask featuring two protruding tubes, through which the wind emanated, and a rounded hat characteristic of the Huastec tribe of northeastern Mexico. The Huastec territory is predominantly defined by circular monuments. Circular temples were believed to appease the wind due to their lack of sharp obstructions. Tenochtitlan, the Aztec capital, featured a circular temple dedicated to Quetzalcoatl, aligning with the deity's persona as Ehecatl. The 18th 13-day series of the ritual calendar was presided over by Quetzalcoatl, who governed the Ehecatl wind days. He was the 9th deity of the diurnal hours. Although regarded as a premier deity, his cult lacked a designated ceremonial month. The Calmecac religious institutions affiliated with temples that instructed prospective priests and noble offspring, particularly venerated Quetzalcoatl. Cholula was the principal center of Quetzalcoatl's worship on the Puebla Plateau, outside of Tenochtitlan. In Aztec mythology, Eteoinan, mother of the gods, Cihuacoatl, serpent woman, and Itzpapalotl, obsidian butterfly, are fertility goddesses who gave birth to the young corn god, Chenteotl, and the flower god, Xochipilli. As embodiments of the earth consuming bodies and ingesting blood, they could manifest as martial deities. Each of these figures symbolizes a fertility goddess. She also birthed the moon, stars, and Huitzilopochtli, the deity of the sun and warfare. Her patronage encompasses women who perish during childbirth. She is portrayed as a voracious entity that annihilates all terrestrial life, and as a mother goddess who generates all celestial phenomena. She symbolizes both creation and demise. Ezcatlipoca, a primary deity in the Aztec pantheon, represents the Great Bear constellation, and is referred to in Nahuatl as smoking mirror. The Toltecs established the cult of Tezcatlipoca in central Mexico. Nahua-speaking warriors emerged from the north around the conclusion of the 10th century CE. Tezcatlipoca ousted the priest-king as per various myths. He initiated human sacrifice in central Mexico. From the center of Tula, one can observe Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. Through his sorcery, Tezcatlipoca exterminated numerous Toltecs and enticed the virtuous Quetzalcoatl into transgression, inebriation, and debauchery, concluding the Toltec Golden Age. The jaguar, a nagual or animal disguise, possessed a spotted coat that evoked the starry sky for Tezcatlipoca. Tezcatlipoca, a creation deity, governed Ocelotonatiuh, jaguar sun, the inaugural of the four worlds established before the current universe. Tezcatlipoca commonly bore a black stripe across his visage and possessed an obsidian mirror at one of his feet. The post-classic Maya Quiche civilization of Guatemala, post-900 CE, venerated him as a deity of lightning. Alternative representations likewise illustrate the mirror on Tezcatlipoca's chest. He possessed knowledge of all human thoughts and actions, both unseen and ubiquitous. In the 14th to 16th centuries CE, Tezcatlipoca's diverse attributes and roles positioned him at the apex of the divine hierarchy, alongside Huitzilopochtli, Tlaloc, and Quetzalcoatl. At night, he allegedly manifested at crossroads to challenge warriors such as Yoali Ehecatl, Night Wind, Yaotl, warrior, and Telpochtli, young man. Under his leadership, Telpochtli, young men's houses, offered foundational education and military training for the sons of commoners. The Tezcatlipoca family served as guardians of enslaved individuals, imposing harsh penalties on masters who abused them. Prosperity and renown rewarded virtue, whereas affliction such as leprosy or destitution penalized vice. The Aztec rain deity Tlaloc is called He Who Makes Things Sprout in Nahuatl. A rain deity adorned with an unusual mask featuring large round eyes and elongated fangs has been traced back to the Teotihuacán culture of the highlands, 3rd to 8th centuries CE. He resembled the Maya rain deity Chak from the same era. During the Aztec period, 14th, 16th century, the cult of Tlaloc proliferated across Mexico and was deemed highly significant. According to the divinatory calendar, Tlaloc was the 8th sovereign of the days and the 9th sovereign of the nights. The 18-month ritual calendar venerated Tlaloc and his associated mountain deities, the Tlaloque, for 5 months. Children presented sacrifices to Tlaloc during the first month, Atlcawalo, and the third month, Tozostontli. To procure precipitation, the rain priests ritually immersed themselves in the lake during Etzalqualistli. They emulated waterfowl calls and employed magical fog rattles, Ayauchikawastli. A ritualistic killing and consumption of amaranth paste idols occurred during the 13th month, Tepelhuitl. A comparable ceremony occurred in the 16th month, Atemostli. Centuries ago, Tlaloc was a primary deity of the agricultural tribes in central Mexico. However, the incursion of northern tribes introduced oracular cults such as Huitzilopochtli and Tezcatlipoca, representing the sky and the sun. Aztec syncretism regarded Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc as sovereigns of the Aztec pantheon. The Teocalli, the great temple at Tenochtitlan, the Aztec epicenter, featured 2 twin sanctuaries atop its elevated pyramid, one consecrated to Huitzilopochtli and the other to Tlaloc. Quetzalcoatl Tlaloc, Tlamacasqui, the feathered serpent and high priest of Tlaloc, the rain god, held an equivalent title and rank to that of the sun god's priest. Tlaloc was both venerated and feared. He could induce precipitation and aridity or instigate famine and scarcity. Besides unleashing catastrophic hurricanes, he cast lightning upon the earth. The Tlaloca could summon rain, which could be advantageous or detrimental to crops. It was believed that Tlaloc and his fellow deities were accountable for ailments such as dropsy, leprosy, and rheumatism. Most deceased individuals were cremated. However, those who succumbed to particular illnesses, drowned, or were struck by lightning were interred. Tlaloc granted them a paradise called Tlalocan. Chalchutlicue, the goddess of freshwater lakes and streams, she who wears a jade skirt, accompanied Tlaloc. Tlaloc guided them, and they resided on mountaintops as Aztec deities of rain. Tlazolteotl was a complex and essential Earth Mother goddess. Tlazolteotl, Nahuatl, a filth deity, alternatively referred to as Ixcuina or Tlaelquani, was an Aztec goddess symbolizing sexual impurity and transgression. She likely originated from the Gulf lowlands of Huaxteca and arrived among the Aztecs. 4 personas were linked to her, each corresponding to a distinct life stage. In her youth, she was an untroubled seductress. In her second form, she embodied a goddess of unpredictability and gambling, characterized by her destructive nature. As a middle-aged goddess, she possessed the ability to absorb human sins. Her ultimate manifestation was a ferocious and fearsome hag targeting the young. Tlazolteotl was thought to incite lust and provide absolution for sinners. During confessions administered by her priests, she gained a reputation for her capacity to absolve sins. Despite inciting immoral conduct, she pardoned transgressors and eradicated corruption. Certain representations portrayed her adorned in the skin of a sacrificial victim or in attire embellished with lunar symbols. Her headdress was constructed from unprocessed cotton. In Mesoamerican religion, Onatiu is the solar deity of the 5th and final epoch, known as the 5th sun. Most Mesoamerican Nahua myths, including those of the Aztecs, assert that 4 epochs preceded the age of Tonatiuh, each culminating in catastrophic destruction. The Aztec god Huitzilopochtli was linked to Tonatiuh, or Olin Tonatiuh, during sunrise and sunset. Tonatiuh was perceived by the Aztecs as a deity perpetually endangered by the daily cycle of being reborn at sunrise, perishing at sunset, and traversing the sky each day. In Aztec tradition, the deities engaged in voluntary sacrifice, initially to create Tonatiuh and to sustain and motivate him on his journey. The deities employed martial cults and regular human sacrifices to guarantee the continuation of Tonatiuh, whose sustenance depended on human blood and hearts. A vibrant disk symbolizes Tonatiuh. Totec, the Mesoamerican deity of spring and new vegetation, is also the patron god of goldsmiths. Nahuatl, our Lord the Flayed One. Aztec calendars illustrate him grasping human hearts with his eagle-clawed hands. The Toltecs and Aztecs venerated Totec. In the post-classic Toltec period, 9th to 12th century CE, the Mazapan culture first represented Totec at Xolalpan, adjacent to Teotihuacán and Texcoco. During spring, Totec donned the skin of a human sacrifice as an emblem of new plant life. Statues and stone masks consistently portray him adorned in freshly flayed skin. The Aztecs embraced Axayacatl's cult during his reign, 1469 to 1481. During Tlacaxipehualistli, flaying of men, priests extracted the hearts of human sacrifices. Clerics colored these hides yellow, a practice referred to as Teoquitlaquemitl, golden garments. The blood cascading from the victims was thought to represent the plentiful spring rains, while others were secured to a structure and killed with arrows. Yoali Tlawana, night drinker, derives its name from Totec, as beneficial rains occurred during the night, heralding the feathered serpent, symbolizing abundance and averting droughts. The Incas' culture, religion, and deity. Numerous highland and coastal desert kingdoms emerged in West and South America several millennia before the Spanish incursion in 1532. Their remarkable artistic and technological accomplishments have led contemporary observers to classify them as a singular Andean civilization. Cuzco, Peru, was established as the capital of the Inca Empire in the 12th century. In 1532, during the Spanish conquest, the Incas, or Incas, governed an empire that extended along the Pacific coast and the Andean mountains, from the northern limit of contemporary Ecuador to the Maule River in central Chile. In the early 15th century, they subjugated approximately 12 million Andean individuals within a century of initiating their conquests. No contemporary South American nation encompasses all the territories previously governed by the Inca before the Spanish conquest. The Inca expanded their territories throughout Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina. Previously local hegemonies, some located along the coast, others in mountainous regions, and some spanning these geographical obstacles, emerged, expanded, and ultimately disintegrated within a unified Inca state known as Tawantinsuyu. Incan myths. The Inca civilization originated in Pacari Tampu, a village approximately 15 miles, 24 kilometers, south of Cusco. Following the establishment of the Inca dynasty by Manco Capac, the tribe inhabited Cusco, which subsequently became its capital. The Inca, like other Andean cultures, did not produce written records. Official memorizers have safeguarded oral traditions across generations, and after the Spanish conquest, they created written documentation. Before the 14th century, during the reign of Manco Capac over the Inca Empire, there was minimal distinction between them and other tribes in the Andes. Under Manco Capac, the Incas expanded by assaulting and plundering adjacent villages, likely extracting tribute. Viracocha Inca, the 8th Inca, initiated a strategy of permanent conquest by deploying garrisons among subjugated populations under Capac Yupanqui, his successor. Ancestors of various contemporary Andean populations originated from subterranean openings. The sites of origin, or Pacarina, were situated in Tampa, Pacari Tampu, where religious ceremonies were conducted. Pacari Tampu contains 3 caves. Manco Capac and his brothers and sisters emerge from the central cave. 10 groups of individuals, referred to as Alas, emerge from the caves on both sides and assume leadership over them. The Incas and their adherents traversed from village to village in pursuit of arable land for sustenance. Manco Capac eliminated his 3 brothers. Zinchi Roca, is the offspring of one of his sisters, Mama Ocollo. Upon arriving in the fertile region surrounding Cusco, the Incas assaulted the indigenous inhabitants and expelled them. Upon establishing their presence in Cusco, they progressively interfered in the matters of neighboring entities, compelling them to render tribute in exchange for their autonomy. At this juncture, Manco Capac was considerably aged and approaching death. His eldest son, Zinchi Roca, ascended the throne to safeguard his achievements for future generations. His next eldest son subsequently provided shelter and care for all his other children and their descendants, collectively known as the Chimapanaka. Regarding traditions, Zinchi Roca was a pacific individual who refrained from engaging in military endeavors to enlarge the Inca territory. It is uncertain whether Zinchi Roca also married his sister, akin to his father's union. The third emperor, Lyoke Yupanqui, had an elder brother. Thus, he did not adhere to his father's practice of designating his eldest son as his successor. Lyoke Yupanqui, in contrast to his father, did not extend the Inca territory. The necessity for supplementary lands and resources became apparent during the rule of Maita Capac. No singular explanation can adequately account for the emergence of this need in the 14th century. During this period, the Central Andes commenced experiencing marginal reductions in precipitation, potentially elucidating this phenomenon. In the Cusco Valley, marginal farmlands are either forsaken due to insufficient irrigation or exhibit diminished productivity compared to previous periods. The Incas may have strained their food resources if they had endeavored to sustain their previous standard of living. Securing supplementary land and water resources in a neighboring valley would have mitigated the issue. According to reports, Maita Capac accomplished this. Chronicles indicate that Maita Capac engaged in combat with youths from a neighboring faction during adolescence. The dispute originated from the Incas extracting water from this group, although chroniclers disagreed on the identity of the water takers. They likely enforced a tribute payment on their adversaries and plundered their residences and territories. By Maita Capac ascended to the throne, the Inca had already secured victory in the war. In 1438, Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, the progeny of Viracocha Inca, usurped the throne from his sibling Inca Urcon, thereby initiating the Inca dynastic era. Huayna Capac, 1493-1525, triumphed in the succession dispute following his demise. During the reign of Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, 1438-1471, the Inca expanded their dominion south of the Titicaca Basin and north of contemporary Quito, subjugating the formidable Chancas, Quechuas, and Chims. The enforced relocation of substantial numbers from each subjugated populace guaranteed political stability by dispersing ethnic groups across the empire, thereby averting insurrections. The kingdom's labor tax was administered by local governors, who could enforce it through military service, public duties, or agricultural labor. The empire attained its southernmost boundary along the northern Peruvian coast during the reign of Topa Inca Yupanqui, 1471-93. The northern limit of Huayna Capac's empire was extended to the Ancasmayo River before his demise due to an epidemic introduced by an eastern tribe that had contracted it from the Spanish at La Plata. The arrival of the Spanish in Peru in 1532 initiated another succession conflict, which remained unresolved by 1535. The Inca Empire possessed a highly hierarchical society. The emperor exerted stringent and frequently oppressive control over his subjects, through an aristocratic bureaucracy. Despite the Incas' advanced technology and architecture, they lacked originality. Remnants of their irrigation systems, palaces, temples, and fortifications are still dispersed throughout the Andes. The economy was founded on agriculture, specifically corn, maize, white and sweet potatoes, squash, tomatoes, peanuts, groundnuts, chili peppers, cocoa, cassava, and cotton. They raised dogs, llamas, alpacas, and guinea pigs. They utilized llama wool and cotton to fabricate garments. Adobe and stone were prevalent construction materials for houses. Each individual cultivated their own sustenance and garments. The network significantly aided the incursion of the Inca Empire. The Incas constructed roads across their empire. Approximately 2,250 miles, 3,600 kilometers, of the north-south road traversed the coastline, while an equivalent distance followed the Andes, featuring numerous interconnecting routes. Numerous brief rock tunnels and vine-supported suspension bridges were constructed. A proficiently administered relay service transmitted messages via knotted cords at a velocity of 150 miles, 240 kilometers per day, exclusively for governmental and military purposes. The Quechua-speaking agrarians of the Andes, constituting 45% of Peru's populace, are descendants of the Incas. They integrate agriculture and livestock management, utilizing basic conventional technology. In agricultural regions, 3 types of settlements exist: families residing amidst their fields, virtual village communities situated on the peripheries of inhabited centers, and a hybrid of these 2 forms. Mestizo populations inhabit towns. The Indian community is typically cohesive and characterized by intermarried families. Cooperatives conduct a significant portion of agricultural activities. Roman Catholicism integrates a pagan hierarchy of deities and spirits. The early history and origins of the Inca are primarily obscured by legends that may be more mythical than factual. The subsequent history of the Incas is predominantly factual, particularly during the rule of Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui. The Incas' utilization of historical traditions to rationalize their imperial conquests is irrelevant to the accuracy of their descriptions of events. Monarchical corporations and Incan sovereigns. Panaca, royal corporation, is the Spanish rendition of the Inca nomenclature. Chima, Manco, Capac, Manco, Capac. Raura Zichi Roca. There exists a bloke, Yupanqui, and another bloke, Yupanqui Awaini. His Maita Capac. Apu Maita. Yupanqui Capac Yupanqui. Awaken the Inca Wikakirao, my compatriot Inca Roca's Inca Roca. Viracocha, Inca, Zuxu, Wiracocha. None of the Inca, Urcon, Inca, Urcon. Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, Inaca, 1438-1471. Atahualpa Inca Yupanqui Capac, 1471, 1493. Huayna Capac Tumipampa, 1493, 1522. Huascar 1525, 1532. Huascar Inca, Atahualpa, 1532, 1533. Atahualpa Inca. In 1533, there was no Topahualpa, only Thupahualpa. Manco Inca Yupanqui, 1533-45, or Manco Inca Yupanqui, 1533-45, remains uncertain. Most historians concur that Inca calendars were derived from observations of the sun and moon and their correlation with the stars, alongside the 12 lunar months and their correlation with agricultural festivals. The quinary decimal system served additional functions. A formal month of 30 days could be feasible if triads are calculated based on 6 weeks of 9 days each. Pachacuti, Viracocha's successor, constructed the sun towers to resolve the confusion regarding the year. Pachacuti ruled less than a century before the conquest, suggesting that the Inca calendar may have been undergoing revision when the Spaniards arrived. Notwithstanding the uncertainties, additional research has revealed that the Incas employed a sidereal lunar calendar, at least in Cusco, their capital. The sidereal lunar intercalation within the solar year was ascertainable by tracking the sun's cycle from its strengthening at the summer solstice, December, to its subsequent weakening. The winter solstice occurs on the inaugural full moon, following June in the southern hemisphere, commonly referred to as the first full moon after June. Consequently, 37 days have been inserted between the sidereal and lunar calendars. The Inca religion functioned as an organized state within the empire, while indigenous religions were permitted as long as the sun god was venerated. The Inca religions were defined by animism, fetishism, and the veneration of nature deities. The pantheon comprised Viracocha, a creator deity and cultural hero, and Apu Ilapu, the deity of rain. The Incas conducted human and animal sacrifices as part of their rituals. The Spanish conquistadors obliterated these religious establishments as part of their campaign against idolatry. Viracocha was the primordial deity of the Incas and the pre-Inca civilizations. The Incas were the cultural successors of the civilization of Viracocha, referred to as Tiwanaku. Viracocha was referred to by titles such as Lord Instructor of the World, Ancient One, and Old Man of the Sky. Viracocha safeguarded Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, the Inca sovereign. A fundamental aspect of contemporary mythology is the assertion that Viracocha introduced Inca culture to Polynesia as Kon-Tiki. Viracocha frequently experienced transformations, often in grotesque or comical manners. He scattered people in 4 directions after the creation, destruction, and subsequent recreation of humanity from stone. He was a cultural icon who imparted diverse techniques and skills to individuals. He traversed water. Others assert he constructed a vessel from his cloak and departed into the Pacific from Manta, Ecuador. Inti, the sun god, was one of the deities of the Inca civilization. His warmth enhanced the Andean soil and facilitated crop maturation. A ruler represented Inti with a human visage on a radiating disc. One ruler called the Inca's divine ancestor My Father. Apu Ilapu was venerated by farmers as the deity of rain. Ilapu was thought to release water from the Milky Way as precipitation. Individuals undertook pilgrimages to Ilapu temples during periods of drought and occasionally performed human sacrifices. Mama Quilla, the sun god's wife, governed women's menstrual cycles. The Incas scheduled their festivals based on the lunar phases. In ancient times, silver was regarded as the tears of the moon. Stars executed negligible roles. The conviction was that Lyra, akin to a llama, provided safeguarding. Cochabamba, Mama Coca, the mother of the sea, was recognized during the Inca period. The ancients referred to it as Pachamama, or Earth Mother. Individuals perceived the constellation Scorpio as resembling a feline and commemorated the Pleiades' re-emergence in the heavens. Clerics and their acolytes occupied temples and shrines, housing cultic fetishes. Temples were not intended to accommodate celebrants during festivities, as most events occurred outside the temple. The Temple of Viracocha at San Pedro Cacha, Peru, measured 330 by 87 feet, 9144 by 26.55, indicating it served purposes beyond merely housing priestly regalia. The Sun Temple of Cusco is among the most renowned Inca temples. Vilcashuman, considered the geographic center of the empire, possesses a substantial temple that remains intact. A temple dedicated to the sun was located on Titicaca Island, one of the islands in Lake Titicaca. Adjacent to Mount Aconcagua, at the southern boundary of the Inca Empire, existed an ancient oracle where sacrifices were conducted. The Incas subjugated new territories and constructed temples within them. A chronicler depicted a temple in Caranqui, Ecuador, adorned with gold and silver vessels. In 1801, Alexander von Humboldt depicted the ruins of Latacunga, Lacta Cunga, with portions of the temple still discernible. The Sun Temple in Cuzco, constructed with aligned stones, has a circumference exceeding 1,200 feet, 366 meters. A portion of the wall remains extant despite the chronicler's erroneous depiction. The golden enclosure, Corincancha, contained gold representations of corn stalks, llamas, earth, and a prominent sun image. The sun allocated sections of the land to sustain temples, priests, and chosen women. Numerous huacas, along with shrines and temples, were present. Huacas are artificial structures, including temples, mountains, hills, or bridges, exemplified by the substantial Huaca Chaca that spans the Apurimac River. Besides its mystical attributes, the huaca was closely linked to religion. Huacas occasionally concealed the remains of Inca nobles in addition to encasing mummies. Individuals would contribute a stone to a functional cairn, a patchy pile of stones, at elevated transit locations in the Andes. Priests occupied all temples and shrines. A chronicler noted that priests' titles were derived from their functions as diviners of lungs, sorcerers, confessors, and healers. The chief priests of noble descent in Cusco were bestowed with the title of Vilac Umu. Alongside his lifelong position, he was married and contended with the Inca for power. He possessed the authority to appoint and dismiss priests at all shrines and temples. Priests were presumably chosen in childhood, nurtured by seasoned priests, and gradually assimilated ceremonial practices. Divination constituted the foundation of all actions. All requisite elements were ascertained through divination. As a result, judges employed it to identify ailments, forecast battle outcomes, and uncover criminal activities. Judges also employed divination to ascertain which deities merited sacrifice. A priest employed the supernatural to discern the hidden forces governing existence to address these warnings. Oracles were essential for direct communication with the recalcitrant deities. A chronicler depicted the oracle of a huaca adjacent to the Huaca Chaca Bridge, spanning the Apurimac River near Cusco, as a robust wooden beam featuring two prominent golden breasts. Animal and human sacrifices tarnished these idols and others. The river demon communicated via this substantial idol in a prominent oracle within the expansive adobe complex of Pachacamac, located near Lima. Observing spiders, meanders, and coca leaves, positioned in a shallow dish, served as a form of divination. Consuming ayahuasca, a psychoactive substance that significantly influences the central nervous system, also facilitates divination. Individuals believed they could convey supernatural forces through this method. Moreover, individuals held the belief that fire enabled spiritual communication. Ventriloquists narcotized themselves by chewing coca leaves before invoking spirits through ventriloquism. Clerics offered the lungs of white llamas for divinatory practices. By examining the veins' alignment, priests exhaled into the severed trachea and expanded the lungs to forecast the future. They rendered a decision predicated on this prophecy. Confession constituted a component of divination rituals. It was believed that an individual's failure to adhere to the meticulously observed ceremonies could result in the absence of rainfall or the inexplicable rupture of a water conduit. The error was referred to as mocha. Personal transgressions harmed Ailu, a fundamental social unit predicated on communal land ownership. Divine wrath can be averted by confessing and atoning for sins through repentance. Numerous sacrifices were made daily in anticipation of the sun's emergence. Sacrifices were made on all significant occasions, including guinea pigs, cuy, llamas, food, coca leaves, and chicha, an alcoholic corn beverage. Roasting corn over coals occurred above a fire. In Cusco's Great Square, Huayacapata, 100 llamas were herded into the square, where they traversed to various depictions of the deities and were presented to 30 priests, each representing a day. For ceremonial purposes, we incinerated pieces of flesh and pulverized the bones. The offering comprised the incineration of vestments or ponchos featuring intricate weaves. Inca rulers donned cloaks solely once. They offered sacrifices of them daily. The presence of unblemished sacrifices was imperative. In dire circumstances, such as the ascension of a new Inca sovereign, 200 children could be subjected to immolation. Human blood was necessitated during periods of defeat, famine, or plague. The Sun Temple may even sacrifice a chosen woman. The Sun Temple infrequently employed blood money as a metaphor, instead obtaining it from subjugated provinces via standard taxation. Individuals nourished children before presenting them, guaranteeing they would not approach the deities in hunger and distress. Throughout the religious calendar, a festival occurred each month. Guaman Poma de Ayala offers an elaborate elucidation of the sacred calendar. A variant of his correspondence to Philip II delineates state ceremonies conducted in Cusco and agricultural methods in the highlands. The irrigated coasts employed various calendars, yet none were meticulously recorded. The Incas solicited precipitation through prayers to Pu Ilapu, the deity of rain. The Incas referred to her as Cochamama, Mama Coca. They sought protection from the constellation Lyra, which resembled a llama. She cared for animals, for the herders by Inca tradition. Representing Enki, the Inca sun deity, she was a polychromatic llama. Legend states that he was the progenitor of the Incas. The empire venerated Inti as the leader of a state religion. Flames and rays radiated from the visage of God, typically represented as a golden disc. A silver disc featuring anthropomorphic characteristics represents Inti's sister and consort, Mama Kilia, or Mama Killa. Inti and Mama Kilia were regarded as benevolent deities. Mama Kilia originated on Earth. Inti instructed Manco Capac and Mama Oclo on the principles of civilization and directed them to disseminate this knowledge to humanity. His offspring also constructed Cusco. The Incas regarded their rulers as living embodiments of Inti. The populace believed that the emperor's lineage originated from Inti. The high priest of the sun, typically the ruler's brother, was the second most powerful individual in the empire. During the 20th century, Quechuas sometimes conflated Inti with Christ or God. Animal sacrifices and ceremonial dances revered the sun god during Inti Raymi. Initially, individuals commemorated a Raymi, or festival, during the winter solstice to venerate the resurrection of the sun. Devotees observed a 3-day fast before the celebration and refrained from igniting fires. The festival comprised 9 days of feasting and sacrifices. Festivals commemorated the Pleiades, referred to as Little Mothers, upon their re-emergence in the sky. Yearly, thousands of tourists come to Cusco for the festival. Amaquila, Mama Kilia, consort of the sun deity, governed women's menstrual cycles. Achamama, Pachamama, served as the Inca Earth Mother. She supervises planting, harvesting, and seismic events as a fertility deity. In Andean mythology, her consort, the sun deity Inti, intermittently manifests as her partner. After the Spanish conquest, the Virgin Mary amalgamated with Pachamama. Before meetings and celebrations, individuals continue to toast or libate Pachamama to secure favorable fortune and goodwill. Individuals commemorate Shrove, Tuesday, or Carnival, the day preceding Ash Wednesday and Lent, by interring food, dispersing confectionery, and incinerating incense. Before integration into the Inca pantheon, Peruvians venerated Viracocha, Huiracocha, or Huiracocha as the creator deity. He generated the sun and moon on Lake Titicaca. The Inca pantheon esteemed Viracocha as the architect of all existence. He is closely linked to the ocean. Viracocha originated the universe: stars, time, civilization, the sun, and the moon. Viracocha was both a storm deity and a solar deity. Tears streamed from his eyes as he donned the sun as a crown and grasped thunderbolts in his hands. Certain mythologies designate his offspring as Inti and Mama Kilia. Subsequent to creating the heavens and earth, Viracocha imparted the arts of civilization to humanity. Representations of water deities occasionally included beards, lengthy garments, and staffs. He vowed to return to Manta, Ecuador one day. The megalithic ruins at Tiwanaku, adjacent to Lake Titicaca, feature a sculpture of Viracocha, the weeping deity. Viracocha, deceased circa 1438, the successor of God, integrated him into the Inca pantheon. Viracocha governed the world by overseeing the other deities he created, per the Incas. The nobility fervently venerated him during periods of crisis. He adorned his headdress with a corn ear to represent the deity of vegetation, the corn god. His name is Ahmun, and he is occasionally depicted battling the death deity, Ahpuch, a skeletal entity, patron of the sixth-day sign Simi, death, and sovereign of the ninth inferno. Ekchua, a war deity and protector of merchants and cacao cultivators, and Ixtab, a patron goddess, were additional divinities linked to death. During the post-classic period, the Toltec feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl, was introduced, referred to as Kukulkan in Yucatan and Gukumats in the Guatemalan highlands. The ancient Maya approached the gods with humble supplication, believing the deities could grant health, plentiful harvests, and abundant game or inflict illness and famine. The Maya appeased the deities with supplications, offerings, and incense. Clerics ascertained auspicious days for construction and hunting through their astronomical and divinatory expertise. Maya's consciousness was marked by a perception of sin and a conviction in predestination. Humankind must yield to universal forces. The classic Maya interred their deceased beneath the floors of their dwellings. Extensive subterranean vaults were utilized to interior high priests and influential lords. Quiché beliefs assert that the deceased descend to Mitnal and Xibalba in Yucatan. Contemporary Lacandons believe that mortal existence persists eternally in a bountiful realm above the earth, devoid of labor or concern. Similar to central Mexico, the Maya did not subscribe to the notion of a celestial paradise. A multitude of sacrifices were offered for divine favor, including animals, birds, insects, fish, agricultural products, flowers, rubber, jade, and blood extracted from the tongue, ears, arms, legs, and genitals. Examples of classical human sacrifices include two stelae exist in Piedras Negras. This is Tikal's engraved illustration, the murals of Bonampak. Diverse designs embellish an assortment of ceramic vessels. Indigenous manuscripts illustrate certain scenes. This practice became prevalent in central Mexico during the post-classic era. Toltec Maya art illustrates various human sacrifices, including heart extraction, arrow shooting, and decapitation. Before vital ceremonies and sacrifices, invocations were commonly performed for material gains, typically articulated while squatting or standing. Fasting and abstinence, frequently for 260 days, and bloodletting. At Chichen Itza, individuals cast offerings of copper, gold, and jade into a deep natural well, cenote, to summon rain. Consequently, Christian pagan rituals sometimes entailed the extraction of hearts or the crucifixion of individuals, even after the Spanish conquest. The last case in Chamula, Chiapas, was recorded in 1868. Classical sculpture frequently portrays priests embellished with jewels and feathers. High priests of each province instructed in history, divination, and glyph writing at priestly schools. Lander asserts that the priesthood was hereditary. Atkin, referred to as he of the sun, was the conventional designation for priests. The nations dismembered the victims, the Chaks restrained their limbs, and the Chileans analyzed their sacred texts. Clerics who acted as prophets or diviners occasionally utilized hallucinogenic substances. Complex and intense ritual activities were conducted on designated auspicious days. The performers were required to undergo preliminary fasting and abstain from sexual activity. The majority of rituals encompassed incense offerings, pom. Balche is an alcoholic beverage produced from honey and tree bark. Hemorrhaging from the ears and tongues is prevalent. Human sacrifices followed animal sacrifices in subsequent periods. Choreographed movements. On New Year's Day, special ceremonies were conducted in reverence of the year-bearer, the Tzolk'in sign. Uo was consecrated to Itzamna in the 2nd month, Tzek to the Bakabs in the 5th, Sul to Kukulkan in the 6th, Yaks to Venus in the 10th, Mak to the rain deities in the 13th, and Muan to the god of the cocoa tree in the 15th. Mol and Chen, newly created idols, were established in the 8th and 9th months. They revitalized the pottery, garments, and various possessions. The classic and post-classic Maya engaged in a Middle American ritual ball game, as demonstrated by the numerous elaborate ball courts at Tikal, Copan, and Chichen Itza. Mayapan lacks a court, and Lander fails to reference the game. Consequently, it seems that the Yucatec discontinued its use, notwithstanding its significance in central Mexico. The Gulf Coast probably transmitted phallic rituals to the Yucatan from Uxmal and Chichen Itza. The writings of Chilam Balam vehemently criticize the sexual practices of Mexican immigrants, which were wholly alien to Maya culture. The belief in witchcraft is prevalent among contemporary Maya Indians, as it likely was in pre-Columbian eras. Amen, meaning he who knows, were sorcerers and medicine men serving as prophets and healers. Their therapeutic practices encompassed magical incantations, chants, prayers, and conventional techniques, including bloodletting and the application of medicinal herbs. Throughout the classic to post-classic periods, Maya religion evolved like Mexican religions, with an escalating emphasis on sun worship and human sacrifice. Maya religious thought distinguishes itself from other pre-Columbian civilizations by its exceptional mathematical and astronomical knowledge sophistication, intricately interlaced with mythological concepts. The most erudite Aztec priests could not attain the intellectual stature of their Maya counterparts from the first millennium, nor could they grasp the concept of eternal time and its bearers, the deified epochs. The ancient Maya and the Zervanites of Iran venerated time. The Christianized Maya Indians and the unevangelized Lacandon maintained a simple, naturalistic religion rooted in corn cultivation, distinct from the abstract speculations of the priesthood. A corn deity, a youthful god adorned with an ear of corn as a headdress, was typically linked to vegetation. Occasionally, Amun confronts Apuch, a skeletal deity symbolizing the 6th-day sign, Simi, death, and the 9th underworld. The Mayan deities of death were known by various appellations. Underworld lords served as counterparts to celestial gods in the creation of the world and the human body and soul. He is the patron of the 6th-day sign, Simi, death, and the sovereign of the 9th hell. In the underworld, various creatures and spectres coexisted with the deities of death. Occasionally, artists represented a deity of death as a deer hunter or a headhunter. Mayan mythology depicts the Bacab as one of four siblings who upheld the stratified sky from their respective locations at the four cardinal directions with elevated arms. Alternatively, the Bacabs may represent four manifestations of a singular deity. The goddess Ixchel may have been their maternal figure, linked to weaving, medicine, and childbirth. A Bacab governed each year of the 4-year cycle. The Mayans considered these years significant because Muluk was the most extraordinary Bacab god. The Mayan religious and calendrical systems were integral to the four cardinal directions and their associated colors: east, red; north, white; west, black; south, yellow. The Bolontiku governed the subterranean realms as 9 deities. Like other principal Mayan deities, Chak manifested as 4 distinct gods, the Chaks. 4 deities were linked to the compass's cardinal points and corresponding colors: white for the north, red for the east, black for the west, and yellow for the south. In the post-classic period at Chichen Itza, human sacrifice became linked to the rain god, and the priests who restrained the victim's limbs were referred to as Chaks. In the post-classic Mayan and Toltec ruins, reclining figures termed Chaks Mul are thought to symbolize the rain deity. The Chaks were linked to Christian saints during the Spanish conquest and frequently illustrated on horseback. Chak maintains a close association with Tlaloc, the Aztec deity of rain. Chak generates thunder and rain by striking the clouds with his lightning axe. Ceremonial banquets prompted Chak to bestow rain. Occasionally, submerging sacrificial victims, usually young men and women, established a fruitful relationship with the rain deity. Sizin may have represented an aspect of a malevolent underworld deity alongside Apuch, Xibalba, and Yum Chimil. Pre-conquest codices frequently illustrate human sacrifices in conjunction with the deity of death and warfare. Sizin, emblematic of the dualistic essence of Mayan religion, uproots or annihilates trees cultivated by Chak, the deity of rain. Alongside his death collar, he is recognized for his disembodied eyes suspended by their optic nerves. Ceramics and codices frequently portray Sizin as a dancing skeleton wielding a smoking cigarette. The Spanish conquest led to the amalgamation of Sizin with the Christian devil. The Yucatec Maya regard Hunabku as the creator deity, denoted as one god. The Mayan deity Itzamna, signifying iguana house in the Mayan language Krad, presided over heaven, day, and night in pre-Columbian eras. A 4-headed deity named Itzamnas enveloped the world with his essence. Like other Mesoamerican deities, Itzamnas were linked to the cardinal directions and their corresponding colors: east, red; north, white; west, black; and south, yellow. Kinichahau, the sun god, and Hunabku, the distant creator, were occasionally linked to Itzamna. Besides bestowing writing and the calendar upon humanity, Itzamna was also the patron deity of medicine. The moon goddess Ixchel, revered as the patroness of feminine arts, may represent a female embodiment of the divine. The Mayan moon goddess Ixchel, alternatively spelled Ixchel, is referred to as Ixchel. Although Ixchel was the patroness of femininity, she was frequently portrayed as an elderly, malevolent figure with undesirable traits. Her appearance might have been an embodiment of the deity Itzamna. Kinichahau is the Mayan deity representing the sun. His standard portrayal is that of a middle-aged man with a hooked nose, prominent crossed eyes, and a sharpened upper incisor. Itzamna, the upper or celestial god, was the patron of one of the 4 years within the 52-year cycle. It is said that Itzamna's brother descends from the heavens and releases his jaguars to annihilate the world. Kukulkan, the feathered serpent, is a principal deity in the ancient Mexican pantheon. The Central Plateau exhibited depictions of feathered serpents during the Teotihuacán civilization, 3rd–8th century CE. Kukulkan Quetzalcoatl was considered the deity of vegetation and water, intimately linked with the rain god Tlaloc. In the celestial realm, 13 deities exist, called the Oxlahuntiku, deities, cultures, and religions of the Aztecs. The Aztecs governed central and southern Mexico in the 15th and early 16th centuries. The Aztecs originated in northern Mexico, known as Aztlán, White Land. The legendary progenitor Tenoch gave rise to the name Tenochca, whereas the enigmatic designation Metzliapan, Moon Lake, influenced the Mexica. The name of the extensive Aztec city Tenochtitlan is derived from Tenochca, while Mexica gave rise to the name of the city that supplanted the Aztec capital and the adjacent valley, which subsequently came to denote the entire Mexican nation. The Aztecs employed the designation Culhua Mexica to forge a link with Culhuacan, the cultural epicenter in the Valley of Mexico. The Aztecs' origins remain ambiguous, yet aspects of their tradition imply they were hunters and gatherers on the northern Mexican plateau prior to their arrival in Mesoamerica in the 12th century CE. Aztlán may be a mythical concept. Their southward migration may have been a component of a broader movement associated with or resulting from the decline of the Toltec civilization. In 1325, they established Tenochtitlan, their principal center, on islands in Lake Texcoco. The Aztecs established a formidable state and empire, founded on their distinctive agricultural system, characterized by intensive land cultivation and sophisticated irrigation and reclamation systems for wetlands. These methods rendered the state affluent and densely populated. The states of Texcoco and Tlacopan established alliances with Tenochtitlan during Itzcoatl's reign, 1428–40. By 1519, Tenochtitlan governed an empire comprising 400 to 500 small states, with a population of approximately 5 to 6 million individuals across 80,000 square miles, 207,200 square kilometers. A Mesoamerican civilization had never achieved a settlement as densely populated as Tenochtitlan, which spanned over 5 square miles, 13 square kilometers, and housed more than 140,000 residents. Notwithstanding Aztec society's caste and class divisions, allegiance to warfare was the most reliable means of progression. The military faction of the Aztec state exerted control over this despotism. The priestly and bureaucratic classes governed the empire, while serfs, indentured servants, and enslaved individuals occupied the lowest societal tier. The Aztec Empire, second only to the Inca of Peru in the New World, exhibited a civilization as remarkable as other formidable ancient cultures in America and Europe. Originating from the fabled region of Aztlán, the Aztecs encountered the advanced Toltec civilization of central Mexico, centered in Tula, an impressive urban hub featuring pyramids, temples, public edifices, sculptures, private dwellings, and ball courts. The emergence of the Aztecs was not due to the grandeur of Tula and the Toltecs, but rather their decline. Due to internal social, political, and religious conflicts, a significant cultural catastrophe occurred in the early 12th century CE. The assault obliterated Tula and other significant Toltec hubs. The hunters and gatherers exploited this circumstance, exacerbating the disorder by migrating from the arid plateau of northern Mexico to the fertile, densely populated central region. The Acolhua, Chichimec, Otom, Tepanec, and Aztecs were included. The Chichimec settled at Tenayuca, the Otom controlled Xaltocan, and the Tepanec conquered Azcapotzalco. All were speakers of Nahuatl, except the Otom. A group of Chichimec established a capital in Tenayuca, and subsequently in Texcoco under Xolotl's leadership. The surviving Toltecs in Culhuacan formed an alliance with Xolotl's Chichimec. This confederation resulted in relative peace and cultural advancement in the Valley of Mexico. According to legend, the Aztecs traversed from the early 12th century to the early 13th century in pursuit of a new homeland. During this period, the Aztecs enhanced their agricultural techniques and other technological proficiencies in proximity to the ruins of Tula, where they founded an unstable settlement. Nonetheless, their stay was brief. Aztec legend states that an eagle on a nopal cactus, holding a serpent in its beak, signifies that the god Huitzilopochtli commanded them to depart in pursuit of a permanent settlement. Senior tribe members observed an eagle, a cactus, and a serpent on a diminutive island in Lake Texcoco. Their calendar indicates that their extensive pilgrimage concluded in the year designated as Two Houses, 1325 CE. Tenochtitlan, poised to evolve into a formidable city, constructed its initial structures surrounding the temple. The national flag of Mexico illustrates and commemorates the narrative of the city's founding 5 centuries later. Multiple entities in the Valley of Mexico had not asserted dominion over the island encircled by swamps, where the Aztecs sought refuge. Tenochtitlan was situated among the 3 dominant powers of the valley: Texcoco, Culhuacan, and Azcapotzalco, representing the Chichimeque, Toltec, and Tepanec civilizations. The Aztecs effectively leveraged their strategic position by assisting the Tepanec in their expansionist conflict against the Toltecs, the Chichimeque, and other neighboring groups. In 1428, the Aztecs subdued their former allies and overlords under the leadership of Itzcoatl, Obsidian Snake. During the 15th century, the Aztecs exerted control over the majority of contemporary Mexico under a series of ambitious monarchs. 3 factors predominantly elucidate how a diminutive nomadic tribe established an empire within a century, from the early 14th century to the early 15th century. Aztec religion, the economy of the Valley of Mexico, and Aztec socio-political structure. Huitzilopochtli was the solar deity of the Aztec faith. He engaged in daily combat across the sky, returning to his mother's embrace, Coatlicue, to replenish his strength for the struggle against darkness. The Aztecs, known as People of the Sun, were required to sustain Huitzilopochtli with human blood to guarantee human survival. The conflict satisfied a religious duty by supplying the sun deity with captives for sacrifice. In Tenochtitlan, prisoners from across present-day Mexico were ritually sacrificed, frequently by excising their still-beating hearts. In the Valley of Mexico, Chinampas, an elevated agricultural system called floating gardens solidified Aztec dominance. Ridges are created between rows of ditches and canals by accumulating sediment from a lake's substrate. The temperate climate and abundant irrigation facilitate the annual cultivation of multiple crops in the Chinampas. The system's high productivity has led to the emergence of substantial urban centers in the Valley of Mexico. During the early 16th century, certain valley cities boasted populations surpassing 100,000. The Valley of Mexico held strategic significance due to its interconnected network of lakes, including Texcoco, Chalco, Xochimilco, Xaltoca, and Zumpango, both naturally and artificially. The extensive use of water transportation on the lakes facilitated the valley's initial economic and political integration, compounded by the lack of the wheel and domesticated pack animals. Due to its vast population and economic resources, the Valley of Mexico emerged as a pivotal center of power in the country's central region. All of these elements catalyzed commerce. Aztec merchants, Posteca, were structured into influential guilds that initiated wars independently and dispatched trading expeditions in Central America, adhering to an ancient tradition. Aztec maps were derived from geographical information from their merchants as they traversed hostile regions for economic and military objectives. The Aztec Empire's intricate socio-political structure was inadequately comprehended by Spanish chroniclers and remains a subject of contention among anthropologists. Nonetheless, social stratification undoubtedly exists. The division of the tribe into Calpulli, big houses in Tenochtitlan has been interpreted by some as evidence of an egalitarian system. The presence of Aztec hereditary nobility has prompted the characterization of Aztec society as feudal. Nonetheless, these noble factions maintained a distinct relationship with the Aztec monarchs, society and land tenure, compared to Old World feudalism, primarily due to the more absolute nature of Aztec governance. A codex detailing the empire's division into provinces and the tribute payment based on regional production was created during the reign of Montezuma II, the ninth Aztec ruler, 1502-20. A substantial political, military, and religious bureaucracy was established alongside governors, tax collectors, courts of justice, military garrisons, mail and messenger services, and other municipal offices. Through their fervent political organization, the Aztecs subjugated their allies, Texcoco and Tacuba, and initiated new campaigns south of Central America. In 1519, Spanish explorers impeded the growth and development of the Aztec Empire. Hernán Cortés captured and executed Montezuma II. Following the Spanish conquest of Tenochtitlan in 1521, Cuitláhuac and Cuauhtémoc usurped power. Before the demise of the Aztec Empire, the Valley of Mexico employed the Aztec calendar, which was derived from the Mayan calendar. Aztec calendars comprised 260-day ritual and 365-day civil cycles, similar to Mayan calendars. In the ritual cycle, or Tonalpohualli, days numbered 1-13 and 20-20. The ritual year comprised 20 cycles, each linked to a distinct deity, with the 13-day cycle crucial for religious practices. We ascertained each designated day through combinations of governing deities. The civil year comprised 18 months of 20 days each, with 5 inauspicious days referred to as Nemontemi. Every 52 years, the Aztec ritual and civil cycles realigned to their initial positions, an occurrence referred to as the binding up of the years. Clerics extinguished all sacred and household flames in anticipation. Individuals celebrated and reignited their hearth fires following the priests igniting a new sacred flame on the chest of a sacrificial victim. The Tonalpohualli prevailed in both public and private spheres. During events such as births, marriages, traders' departures to distant lands, and rulers' elections, priests known as Tonalpuke interpret the signs and numbers. Each day and 13-day cycle was deemed fortunate, unfortunate, or neutral, depending on the deities governing them. The merchants preferred Secoatl, one snake. The scribes and weavers favored Chicomizochitl, 7 flower. And the sorcerers favored Nahui Ehecatl, 4 wind. Individuals born on the day of the Seocelotl, 1 jaguar series, would meet their demise on the sacrificial stone, whereas those born on the day of the Ometoctli, 2 rabbit, sequence, would become inebriated. The National Museum of Anthropology exhibits the stone, unearthed in Mexico City in 1790. It weighs around 25 tons and measures 12 feet, 3 meters, in diameter. In the center of the stone is Tonatiuh, the Aztec sun god, surrounded by 4 square panels representing his previous incarnations. Signs that circumscribe the 20 days represent the Aztec months. The Aztec religious system was the most intricate within the culture. In its cosmology, it was the final creation in a succession of creations, situated between the systems of 9 underworlds and 13 heavens. It shared numerous cosmological beliefs with preceding civilizations, particularly the Maya. The Aztec religion was influenced by Mesoamerican cultures and exhibited syncretism. Huitzilopochtli, the Aztec god of war; Tonatiuh, the sun god; Tlaloc, the rain god; and Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, were prominent deities in the Aztec pantheon. Human sacrifice, bloodletting, and the offering of a victim's heart to the sun deity were customary practices. The intricate rituals and ceremonies performed by the priest maintained a close connection between the calendar and the Aztec religion. The Aztec calendar utilized by Mesoamericans comprised a solar year of 365 days and a sacred year of 260 days, with both cycles operating concurrently to form 52 years. Much confusion regarding Aztec religious ideology has arisen from the ongoing assimilation and reorganization of diverse religious traditions influenced by earlier Mesoamerican cultures and contemporaneous societies. The religious requirements of a basic agrarian society evolved as Tenochtitlan transformed into a diverse community. The ruling class chiefly sought a more intellectual and philosophical ideology. The Aztec priesthood was an intermediary between the deities and humanity via a sophisticated calendar of elaborate temple rituals. Ritual ablutions prepared priests for divine contact, while sacrifices and offerings sought to gain the gods' favor. These were accompanied by dances, songs, and performances by masked artists. The public's role as spectators made many of these events public. Considering the abundance of the pantheon, each deity likely possessed a distinct ceremonial observance. Similar to ceremonies conducted in reverence of Mexico's patron saint, these events likely played a crucial role in recreation. In Aztec, religion, sacrifice, and asceticism were fundamental prerequisites for engaging with the supernatural. Clerics were mandated to maintain celibacy and adhere to a minimalist lifestyle. They engaged in continual self-sacrifice through bloodletting as an act of penitence, inserting barbed cords through their tongues and ears. During this era, human sacrifice attained its peak. Through this facet of Aztec culture, religion, warfare, and politics became intricately connected. Aztec warfare, at least in ideology, sought to acquire sacrificial victims. The tribute lists indicate that Aztec warfare had a practical function, and to assume it was mainly religious would be a significant mistake. The cult of the gods necessitated a substantial professional priesthood, one of the most intricate Aztec institutions documented by the Spanish. Each temple was linked to specific priestly orders and deities. Priests in the orders were accountable for ceremonies, the instruction of novices, astrology, and temple estates. The state designated various rural communities to specific temples. The priestly hierarchy in Tenochtitlan was led by the high priests of Tlaloc and Huitzilopochtli. Priests were categorized into various ranks. The priests operated multiple Calmecacs to educate noble sons and select commoners. Some individuals remained in the priesthood indefinitely and resided at the Calmecac. Others abandoned the priesthood to engage in economic and political roles. The Aztecs predominantly practiced their religion at home, utilizing special household altars. These domestic ceremonies typically featured statuettes of deities crafted from baked clay and incense burners. The Aztecs believed in the existence of 4 worlds before the current universe. Catastrophes had obliterated those worlds or stars. After each sun, humanity was entirely eradicated. The current world is the 5th sun, and the Aztecs asserted a divine obligation to offer Tlaxcaltilistli, nourishment, to the sun. Its absence would preclude the existence of the sun. Consequently, the Aztecs presented blood and hearts to each deity in their pantheon, thereby securing the welfare and survival of the cosmos. Jaguars were the initial species to annihilate humanity. The ritual calendar designates the first sun as Nahui Oxalotl, or 4 Jaguar. This entity served as the natural animal disguise of Tezcatlipoca, the creator deity. The mystical hurricane Nahui Ehecatl, 4 Wind, converted all individuals into monkeys. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, instigated the calamity through Ehecatl, the god of wind. During the 4th sun, Nahui Atl, 4 Water, a significant deluge persisted for 52 years, concluding the 3rd sun, Nahuiquayahuitl, for rain. The deity of thunder and lightning, Tlaloc, presided over this period. A cypress tree offered refuge to a man and a woman. After defying Tezcatlipoca's commands, he transformed them into dogs. Humankind. A catastrophic earthquake referred to as Nahui-ol condemned humanity to extinction. A catastrophic earthquake referred to as Nahui-olin, or the Four Earthquake, led to its obliteration. The skeletal entities of the West, referred to as Zit Mimis, would subsequently claim human lives. A drop of his own blood resurrected the desiccated bones of the deceased. These myths elucidate two entrenched concepts. One perspective posits that death and destruction imperil the universe. The sacrifice of the gods was underscored. Quetzalcoatl's self-sacrifice resulted in the ancient bones of Mictlan, the place of death, giving rise to humanity. Similarly, the sun and moon were formed. The deities convened at Teotihuacán and ignited a colossal fire in the darkness. Nanahuatzin, a lesser deity afflicted with ulcers, and Techistecatl, an opulently adorned god, cast themselves into the flames, resulting in the emergence of the sun and the moon. The other deities were compelled to sacrifice and provide their blood to nourish the sun. Aztec cosmology conceptualizes the Earth as a vast disk partitioned into 4 segments aligned with the cardinal directions. The 5-day signs were associated with each cardinal direction, comprising a year-bearer, east, a cattle, reed, west, Kali, house, north, Tecpatl, flint knife, south, Tochtli, rabbit, a color, east, red or green, west, white, north, black, south, blue, and specific deities. Huehueteotl, the fire god, presided over the 5th cardinal point, with the hearth positioned at the center of the dwelling. The supreme couple's residence was situated in the highest heaven, where the atmosphere was ethereal and frigid. Above the earth, the ocean's heavenly water, Ilhuicatl, encircled the residence. Under the divine earth, Teocalli, the souls of the deceased, traversed 9 rivers. 9 was deemed highly inauspicious, whereas 13 was regarded as fortunate. Before the Aztec incursion into the valley, the ancient tribes of central Mexico venerated fertility deities. The Aztec religion exhibited profound devotion to these deities. Tlaloc, the deity of rain and lightning, presided over a cadre of rain gods known as the Tlaloques, who resided on mountaintops. An individual adorned in a jade skirt governed fresh water, while another, clad in a salted water skirt, governed salt water. Numerous earth goddesses, including Teotihuacán, mother of gods, Coatlicue, king of snakes, Teotihuacán, serpent woman, and Itzpapalotl, obsidian butterfly, were linked to fertility and fecundity. The earth is thought to have consumed the bodies and absorbed the blood. It was symbolized by martial deities and fertility gods who birthed corn, Centeotl, and floral deities, Xochipilli. Tlazolteotl, a goddess of the Aztec culture, was associated with sensual love and the confession of sins. He was a deity of spring, the rejuvenation of vegetation, and the patron of the goldsmiths' guild. We obtained Zeep Totec from the remote Yopi populace. They commemorated him by executing and skinning human sacrifices. For example, ancient sedentary groups like the Otom possessed a notion of a supreme couple that was essential to their religious beliefs. The Aztecs depicted it as Intanan, Intota, our mother, our father, the earth and the sun. Huehueteotl symbolized earth, yet he was also linked to fire. Ometecutli, lord of the duality, and Omechihuatl, lady of the duality, resided in the 13th heaven, where they determined the timing of human births and consequently dictated individual destinies. The fertility deities encompass the 400 rabbits, Chenson Totoshtin, minor gods of agriculture, including Ometochtli, the deity of Octli, a fermented beverage, and Tepoztecatl, the god of intoxication. The Aztecs established the cult of Huitzilopochtli, regarded as the conquering sun at noon, reincarnated as a southern warrior. Legend suggests he was born near Tula, likely a descendant of the Toltecs. The progenitor of his offspring, the newborn god wielding his Xucoatl, turquoise serpent, annihilated the 400 southerners and the night goddess Coyolxauhqui. The deity of the night sky, Tezcatlipoca, safeguarded the youthful warriors. Quetzalcoatl, venerated as a creator deity in the Toltec Golden Age, invented writing, the calendar, and the arts. Similarly, the Aztecs held beliefs regarding the afterlife and the supernatural realm. The frescoes of Teotihuacán illustrate the ancient paradise of Tlaloc, receiving individuals who perished from drowning, lightning strikes, leprosy, dropsy, gout, or pulmonary ailments. Legend asserts that he was the individual who eliminated them and dispatched their souls to paradise. Two categories of deceased individuals ascended to the heavens as companions of the sun. The Quarteca, eagle people, comprising warriors and merchants who perished in battle or on the sacrificial stone, as well as merchants slain during their journeys to distant lands, and women who died in childbirth, who became known as Chihuateteo, or divine women. The remaining deceased journeyed to Mictlan beneath the northern deserts, where Mictlantecutli resided. They journeyed there for 4 years until they arrived at the 9th hell, where they disappeared. The deceased received offerings in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th years following the funeral. They subsequently severed the deceased from the living. 4 years after traversing the heavens alongside the sun, hummingbirds were believed to return to Earth. The Cihuateteo caused paralysis to individuals at night at the intersections. In the Aztec cosmology, the role of a male was comparatively insignificant. The Tonalpohualli, or calendrical round, dictated his fate. His existence in the afterlife held no moral import. Divine entities and the cosmic order necessitated his combat and sacrifice. Witchcraft, omens, and portents pervaded daily existence. Due to its remarkable dynamism, the Aztec civilization could coexist with a pessimistic perspective. The Aztec fertility deities Chenson Totoxtin, 400 rabbits, were minor gods associated with agriculture, including Ometochtli, the god of Octli, fermented beverages, and Tepoztecatl, the god of inebriation. Alhuitlique, the Aztec goddess of rivers, lakes, streams, and other freshwater bodies, is called Xalchihuitlique, Nahuatl, she who wears a jade skirt. She embodies the earth as creator and destroyer, the progenitor of deities and humans, and is referred to in Nahuatl as the serpent skirt. In Aztec cosmology, she was the spouse or sibling of Tlaloc. Maize emerged as the principal sustenance during her dominion. She was frequently linked to serpents, akin to other aquatic deities. In contrast to Huixtoquehuatl, Salt Lady, she is not linked to saltwater, the Salters Guild, or promiscuous women. A dualism is apparent in her depiction. She bears 2 fanged serpents on her visage, and her skirt is interlaced with snakes, which symbolize fertility. Her breasts are sagging, indicative of having nurtured many. Her necklace comprises hands, hearts, and skulls, signifying her consumption of corpses, as the earth assimilates all that perishes. In addition to Teteoinan, mother of the gods, and Totsi, our grandmother, she embodies Cihuacoatl, snake woman, the formidable goddess of childbirth, Tlazolteotl, the deity of sexual impurity and immoral conduct, and Coatlicue, also referred to as Tonantzin, our mother. Huitzilopochtli annihilated the Aztec night goddess Oyolxauhqui with his turquoise serpent, known as Xiuhcoatl. Huehueteotl is not only a fire deity, but is also linked to the earth. Xiuhtecutli, the Aztec deity, is frequently linked to him. Unlike Xiuhtecutli, he seems aged and fragile, sporting a beard. Young boys would offer a diminutive swamp creature, such as a snake, lizard, or frog, as a sacrifice to Huehueteotl. Clerics would furnish the boys with sustenance as a recompense. Occasionally, priests would placate Huehueteotl by sacrificing human hearts, as he is significantly dependent on blood and fire. Art frequently represents the Aztec sun and war deity Huitzilopochtli, alternatively spelled Huitzilopochtli, as an eagle or hummingbird. In Nahuatl, the name Huitzilopochtli derives from Huitzilin, meaning hummingbird, and epical, signifying left. The Aztecs believed that deceased warriors were reincarnated as hummingbirds, thus associating the south with the left side of the world. His name translates to resuscitated warrior of the south. He was also referred to as Xiuhpili, turquoise prince, and Totec, our lord. The Nagual, or animal form he assumed, was an eagle. Huitzilopochtli is thought to have been born near Tula on Coatepec Mountain. Coatlicue, the mother of Huitzilopochtli, conceived him after cradling a ball of hummingbird feathers, symbolizing the soul of a warrior, in her bosom, as part of the Aztecs' multifaceted earth goddess mythology. Coyolxauhqui, the moon goddess, and Senson Huitznaua, the southern sky stars, resolved to eliminate Huitzilopochtli. He thwarted their conspiracy and annihilated them with his weapon, the Xiuhcoatl, turquoise snake. Huitzilopochtli is portrayed as the god who directed the Aztecs from Aztlan, their ancestral homeland, to the Valley of Mexico. During the journey, priests bore hummingbirds on their shoulders, and they could discern his voice issuing commands at night. Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire, was established on a diminutive rocky island in the Valley of Mexico Lake in 1325 CE, under the directive of Huitzilopochtli. The initial shrine dedicated to the deity was constructed near where priests observed an eagle consuming a snake, an emblem of such significance in Mexican culture that it is featured on the national flag. Following the expansion of the shrine by successive Aztec rulers, Ahuitzotl consecrated a magnificent temple in the year 8 Reed, 1487. The Aztecs believed that Huitzilopochtli required daily sustenance, Tlaxcaltilistli, in the form of human blood and hearts, and that they, as people of the sun, bore the responsibility of supplying it. Cuautlahuanitl, the eagle that ascends and incinerates in the Quaxicali, was bestowed with a sacrificial heart. Huitzilopochtli referred to those slain in battle or sacrificed to him as Cuauhteca, the eagle's people. Upon their demise, the warriors were thought to join the sun's radiant entourage. After 4 years, their bodies were metamorphosed into hummingbirds to attain immortality. Quetzalcoatl Totec Tlamacasqui, feathered serpent, priest of our Lord, the high priest of Huitzilopochtli, was one of the 2 Aztec priests dedicated to Tlaloc. In the 15th month of the ceremonial calendar, Panquetzalistli, feast of the flags of precious feathers, was devoted to Huitzilopochtli and Painal, he who hastens, named for the priest who personified him and ran while leading a procession. In front of the temple, warriors and courtesans performed a dance. Painal's procession included the sacrifice of war captives and enslaved individuals who had immersed themselves in a sacred spring at Huitzilopochtli, present-day Churubusco near Mexico City. The priests additionally incinerated a lengthy serpent made of bark paper, representing God's principal weapon. In a concluding ceremony, Huitzilopochtli's effigy was struck down with an arrow and partitioned among the priests and acolytes. The youths who consumed Huitzilopochtli's body were required to serve him for 1 year. Huitzilopochtli is commonly depicted alongside hummingbirds, or as warriors adorned in armor and helmets, crafted from hummingbird feathers. The man donned a feathered headdress and wielded a turquoise serpent and a circular shield. Like numerous hummingbirds, the lower portion of his face, legs, and arms was painted one color, blue, while the upper portion was painted another, black. The earth and the sun, Intonan and Intota, symbolize the paramount couple, our mother, our father. In the 13th heaven, Meticutli, lord of the duality, and Omechihuatl, lady of the duality, determine the timing of human births, thereby establishing their destinies. Quetzalcoatl, a principal deity of the ancient Mexican pantheon, is known as the feathered serpent, derived from the Nahuatl words Quetzali, meaning tail feather of the quetzal bird, Pharomacris machino. Coatl-Ndin, meaning snake. Feathered snakes emerged on the central plateau during the Teotihuacán civilization, 3rd–8th century CE. During that period, Quetzalcoatl was thought to be intimately linked with Tlaloc, the deity of rain. As Nahua-speaking tribes migrated from the north, the cult of Quetzalcoatl experienced significant transformations. The Toltec culture, centered in Tula during the 9th to 12th centuries, prioritized warfare and human sacrifice to venerate celestial entities. The ceremonial life of Tula centered on Quetzalcoatl, the deity of the morning and evening star. Quetzalcoatl was venerated during the Aztec era, 14th to 16th centuries, as the patron of priests, the creator of books and calendars, and the guardian of goldsmiths and other artisans. He was also linked to Venus. Quetzalcoatl represented death and resurrection as the morning and evening stars. Legend states that he and the dog-headed deity Xolotl collected the bones of the ancient deceased. He consecrated the bones he occupied with his blood, resulting in the emergence of humanity in the current universe. A significant collection of myths portrayed Quetzalcoatl as the priest-king of Tula, the Toltec capital. The sole victims he presented were snakes, birds, and butterflies. Tezcatlipoca utilized black magic to expel him from Tula. To transform into Venus, Quetzalcoatl sacrificed himself on a pyre adjacent to the Atlantic Ocean's shore. He vanished beyond the eastern horizon after setting off on a raft constructed from snakes. According to legend, Tezcatlipoca vanquished the feathered serpent. The Teotihuacán culture, characterized by its priestly ideals and pacifism, predominated during the initial century of the Toltec civilization. In the northern immigration wave, a military elite usurped authority from the clergy, instigating a social and religious upheaval. The demise of Quetzalcoatl represented the disintegration of classical theocracy. The stable characteristics of the Toltec civilization were apparent in the Itzar tribe, which invaded Yucatan during its maritime expedition to the east. Acatl, one reed, served as the calendar designation for Quetzalcoatl. When they arrived on the Mexican Gulf coast in 1519, the Aztec ruler Montezuma II perceived the Spanish conqueror Hernán Cortés and his companions as divine emissaries because it was a one-year year. Round monuments are prevalent in Huastec territory. Quetzalcoatl was frequently represented as both a feathered serpent and a bearded man, often adorned with a mask featuring two protruding tubes for the passage of wind, and a conical hat characteristic of the Huastec tribe of northeastern Mexico, embodying Ehecatl, the wind deity. In Tenochtitlan, the Aztec capital, the temple of Quetzalcoatl was a circular structure reflecting the divine nature of Ehecatl. Circular temples thought to appease Ehecatl. Do not obstruct the wind sharply. The 18th, 13-day segment of the ritual calendar, designated as Ehecatl, wind, was governed by Quetzalcoatl. Moreover, he was one of the 13 deities associated with the daytime hours. Notwithstanding his status as a premier deity, his cult lacked a designated ceremonial month. The Calmecac, or religious colleges affiliated with the temples, educated future priests and noble offspring, who specifically revered Quetzalcoatl as the deity of learning, writing, and literature. Cholula, located on the Puebla Plateau near Tenochtitlan, functioned as the epicenter of the Quetzalcoatl cult. The Aztec fertility goddesses Eteoinan, mother of the gods, Teotihuacán, serpent woman, and Itzpapalotl, obsidian butterfly, procreated the youthful deities of corn, Sentiotl, and flowers, Xochipilli. They may manifest as a martial divinity due to the earth consuming corpses and absorbing blood. Each of these figures symbolizes a fertility goddess. Huitzilopochtli, the Aztec deity of war and fertility, was also born of the goddess of fertility. Her patronage also encompasses women who perish during childbirth. Her titles include Mother Goddess of all celestial entities, Goddess of fire and fertility, Goddess of life, death, and rebirth, and Mother of the southern stars. Nonetheless, her portrayal also presents her as a voracious creature who devours all life forms. She symbolizes both life and mortality. Tezcatlipoca, Nahuatl, smoking mirror, symbolizes the Great Bear constellation. Numerous myths depict Tezcatlipoca's expulsion of Quetzalcoatl from Tula, the epicenter of the priest-king Quetzalcoatl. The Toltecs, Nahua-speaking warriors from the north, introduced the cult of Tezcatlipoca to central Mexico. Tezcatlipoca, through his dark sorcery, terminated the Toltec Golden Age by slaying numerous Toltecs and corrupting the virtuous Quetzalcoatl with sin, inebriation, and carnal desire. He introduced human sacrifice in central Mexico. Due to its mottled skin, Tezcatlipoca likened the jaguar, in its nagual, or animal form, to the celestial expanse. The deity Tezcatlipoca governed Ocelotonatio, jaguar sun, the initial world created and subsequently annihilated before the current universe. Artists portrayed Tezcatlipoca with a band of black paint across his face and an obsidian mirror substituting one of his feet. The post-classic Maya Quiché of Guatemala venerated him as a lightning deity under Huracan. 1 foot. Alternative depictions illustrate Tezcatlipoca with a mirror affixed to his chest. His vision was all-encompassing. Omnipresent and imperceptible, he knew all human actions and thoughts. Tezcatlipoca's attributes and functions elevated him to the apex of the divine hierarchy during the Aztec period, 14th and 16th century CE, where he reigned alongside Huitzilopochtli, Tlaloc, and Quetzalcoatl. Referred to as Yoali Ehecatl, night wind, Yaotl, warrior, and Telpochtli, young man. He manifested at a crossroads during the night to confront warriors. He supervised the Telpochcali, young men's houses, district institutions where the sons of commoners received fundamental education and military instruction. Tezcatlipoca, as a guardian of enslaved individuals, imposed harsh penalties on masters who mistreated Tezcatlipoca's beloved children. He bestowed wealth and renown upon the virtuous while afflicting wrongdoers with ailments such as leprosy or destitution. The Aztec rain deity Tlaloc is called He Who Makes Things Sprout in Nahuatl. The Teotihuacán culture of the highlands depicted a rain deity adorned with an unusual mask, featuring large circular eyes and elongated fangs. His visage remarkably resembled that of the Maya rain deity Chac. The cult of Tlaloc was deemed essential and proliferated across Mexico during the Aztec period, 14th to 16th century. The divinatory calendars designated Tlaloc as the Lord of the 8th day and the Lord of the 9th night. Tlaloc and the Tlaloque devoted 5 months of the 18-month ritual calendar to their worship. During the first month, Atlcawalo, and the third month, Tozostontli, Tlaloc accepted children as sacrifices. During the 6th month, Etzalqualistli, rain priests immersed themselves in the lake, mimicking waterfowl calls and employing fog rattles, Ayauchikowastli, to invoke precipitation. During the 13th month of Tepeluitl, a diminutive idol crafted from amaranth paste was ceremonially sacrificed and consumed in reverence of the mountain Tlaloqui. Atemostli, the 16th month, conducted a comparable ritual. For numerous centuries, Tlaloc was the principal deity of the agricultural tribes in central Mexico until the militaristic northern tribes invaded, introducing the solar cults of Huitzilopochtli and Tezcatlipoca's celestial night sky worship. Syncretism positioned both Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc at the apex of the Aztec pantheon. Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztecs, featured 2 equally sized sanctuaries on its Teocalli, Great Temple. One devoted to Huitzilopochtli and the other to Tlaloc. Quetzalcoatl Tlaloc Tlamacasqui, feathered serpent, priest of Tlaloc, the high priest of the rain god, possessed a title and status commensurate with that of the sun god. Tlaloc was both highly revered and greatly feared. Tlaloc was thought to be able to bestow either advantageous or detrimental rainfall upon the earth. He could induce droughts and famine or precipitate rainfall. In addition to casting lightning, he released catastrophic hurricanes. Tlaloc and his associated deities are believed to be accountable for ailments such as dropsy, leprosy, and rheumatism. Individuals typically cremated the deceased while interring those who succumbed to particular ailments, drowned, or were struck by lightning. In Tlalocan, his paradise, Tlaloc granted them eternal life and happiness. Chalchiuhtlicue, the goddess of freshwater lakes and streams, known as she who wears a jade skirt, was linked to Tlaloc. The Tlaloques, a collective of Aztec rain deities under Tlaloc's leadership, resided on mountaintops. Lazolteotl, a goddess of impurity and sin in Aztec culture, epitomized sexual immorality and sinful conduct, with her name in Nahuatl, translating to filth deity. The Aztecs likely encountered her in the Gulf lowlands of Huaxteca. Tlazolteotl, the Earth Mother, was a pivotal and multifaceted figure in Aztec culture. 4 personas were linked to her, each symbolizing a distinct phase of her life. In her youth, she embodied a carefree seductress. In her second manifestation, she embodied chance and unpredictability. As a middle-aged goddess, she possessed the ability to absorb human sins. Her ultimate manifestation was a malevolent and fearsome hag targeting the youth. Individuals perceived her as a catalyst for desire and immoral conduct, yet she could absolve those who had transgressed in such ways. She gained recognition for absolving sins during confessions administered by her priests. While she could incite dynamic behavior in one aspect, she was equally adept at forgiving transgressors and purging the world of corruption in another. She donned a raw cotton headdress, and in certain depictions, an attire adorned with lunar motifs or the hide of a sacrificial victim. Onatiu, the Nahua sun deity, represents the 5th sun in Mesoamerican religion. Most Mesoamerican Nahua myths, including those of the Aztecs, assert that 4 eras preceded the era of Tonatiuh, each concluding with cataclysms. Tonatiuh, also known as Olin Tonatiuh, was linked to the eagle during sunrise and sunset, and Huitzilopochtli, the Aztec god. The Aztecs regarded Tonatiuh as a deity perpetually endangered by his daily rebirth at dawn, demise at dusk, and traversal across the heavens. According to Aztec mythology, The gods created Tonatiuh through voluntary sacrifice and nourished and supported him in his celestial journey. Military cults and regular human sacrifices were mandated to venerate Tonatiuh, whose sustenance depended on human blood and hearts. A vibrant disk typically symbolizes Tonatiuh. The center of the Aztec calendar illustrates clawed hands grasping human hearts. alike.Prepare, the Mesoamerican deity, Nahuatl, our Lord, the Flayed One, is the patron of goldsmiths and embodies the god of spring. The Toltecs and Aztecs venerated alike.Prepare. alike.Prepare was depicted in Xolalpan and Texcoco, adjacent to Teotihuacán, during the post-classic Toltec period, 9th to 12th century CE. He consistently presents with freshly flayed skin in his stone masks and sculptures. alike.Prepare, adorned in the skin of a human sacrifice, epitomized the emergence of new vegetation, the new skin that enveloped the earth during spring. Under Axayacattl's reign, 1469 to 1481, the Aztecs embraced his cult. The priests sacrificed human victims by extracting their hearts during Tlacaxipehualistli, flaying of men, the second ritual month of the Aztec calendar. Teotihuacán, golden clothes, comprised flayed yellow-dyed skins adorning the bodies. A frame was occasionally employed to execute victims with arrows. The blood cascading down represented an abundance of spring rains. A hymn dedicated to Seep. Totec asserts that Yoali Tlawana, night drinker, introduced the feathered serpent, representing abundance and drought prevention. Diverse highland and arid coastal kingdoms emerged in western South America for many millennia before the Spanish incursion into Peru in 1532. The Ax people's remarkable artistic and technological accomplishments throughout the centuries have prompted contemporary observers to classify them as a singular Andean civilization. In 1532, during the Spanish conquest, the Inca governed an empire that extended along the Pacific coast and Andean highlands, from the northern boundary of present-day Ecuador to the Maule River in central Chile. In the 12th century, the Incas founded their capital in Cusco, Peru. In under a century, they had subjugated a populace of approximately 12 million Andeans. Before the arrival of the Spanish, no South American state encompassed the entirety of Inca-controlled territories. Instead, they scattered across Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina. Previously, local hegemonies, some coastal, others mountainous, and others spanning these geographic divides, emerged, expanded, and ultimately disintegrated within the Inca state Tawantinsuyu, the realm of the four parts. Unlike other Andean civilizations, the Inca did not produce any written documentation. Their history primarily relies on oral traditions transmitted through generations by designated memorizers, and written accounts created post-Spanish conquest. Tradition asserts that the Incas originated from a village near Cusco called Pacari Tampu. Manco Capac, the progenitor of the Inca dynasty, guided the tribe to establish their settlement in Cusco, which became their capital. Before Mayta Capac's reign in the 14th century, the Inca were one of numerous tribes occupying small regions across the Andes. During Mayta Capac's reign, the Inca expanded by assaulting and plundering adjacent villages, likely extracting tribute. Capac Yupanqui, the subsequent emperor, expanded the Inca's dominion beyond the Cusco Valley. Viracocha, Inca, the 8th Inca, initiated a campaign of permanent conquest by establishing garrisons within the settlements of the subjugated populations. Contemporary Andean individuals attribute their lineage to legendary beings from subterranean openings. The places of origin, or Pacarina, were regarded as shrines for conducting religious ceremonies. It was situated at Pacari Tampu. Pacari Tampu. The founders of the Inca dynasty are thought to have originated from the central cave at Pacari Tampu. Manco Capac, along with his 3 brothers and 4 sisters. They guided 10 groups of individuals, or alas, that emerged from caves on both sides on an uncertain expedition. During this period, they traversed from village to village, searching for arable land for sustenance. He effectively eliminated the 3 siblings of Manco Capac. Sinchi Roca, was born to his sister Mama Oclo. In the fertile region surrounding Cusco, the Inca ultimately assaulted and expelled the indigenous inhabitants. After their establishment in Cusco, they progressively intervened in the affairs of neighboring entities, compelling them to render tribute, to maintain their autonomy. Manco Capac was on the verge of death at this point. To safeguard all his achievements for future generations, he designated Sinchi Roca as his successor. Subsequently, he instructed his next eldest son to provide refuge and care for his other offspring, including the Chima Panaka. The traditions regarding Sinchi Roca, the second Inca emperor, are ambiguous. Nevertheless, he seems to have been a pacific sovereign who refrained from military endeavors to enlarge the Inca Empire. Sinchi Roca may have espoused his sister, as did his father. Evidently, he did not emulate his father's practice of designating his eldest son as his successor. However, the third emperor, Loca-Yupanqui, had an elder brother. Like his father, Loca-Yupanqui did not expand the Inca territory. The necessity for supplementary territories became apparent during the rule of the fourth emperor, Maita Capac. It is improbable that a singular factor could account for this necessity in the 14th century. During this period, precipitation in the central Andes commenced a gradual decline. The Cusco Valley suggests that marginal farmlands were forsaken due to challenges in irrigation or diminished productivity. In this context, the Inca could have pressured their food resources had they preserved their previous standard of living. Supplementary land and water resources in a neighboring valley could have mitigated the issue. Maita Capac stated that this is what she accomplished. Maita Capac engaged in combat with boys from a rival group as a youth. His chronicles depict him as notable and combative. Pedro de Chiesa de Leon and Pedro Sarmiento de Gamboa, 2 reputable Spanish chroniclers, initiated the dispute due to the Incas diverting water from them. Nonetheless, the specifics concerning the individual responsible for taking the water vary. In addition to plundering the residences of their adversaries, they likely seized portions of their territory and enforced tribute upon them. During Maita Capac's reign, this dispute escalated into a full-scale war, in which the Inca ultimately triumphed. Pachacuti, Inca Yupanqui, usurped the throne from his brother Inca Urcon in 1438, signifying the commencement of Inca dynastic history. During the reign of Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, 1438-71, the Inca expanded their dominion over territories south of the Titicaca Basin and north of Quito, subjugating the Chancas, Quechuas, and Chims. Local governors were tasked with collecting the labor tax, which could be acquired through military service, public works, or agricultural labor. The enforced resettlement of substantial groups from each ethnic community contributed to political stability by dispersing ethnic groups, thereby complicating the organization of rebellions. The empire attained its southernmost limit under Topa Inca Yupanqui, 1471-93, eradicating the final remnants of opposition along the southern Peruvian coast. Huayna Capac, 1493-1525, ascended to power following a succession conflict. Huayna Capac extended the empire's northern boundary to the Ancasmayo River before succumbing to an illness introduced by a tribe from the east, potentially acquired from the Spanish. When the Spaniards arrived in 1532, the succession conflict was still unresolved. By 1535, the empire had collapsed. Inca society comprised numerous strata. An elite bureaucracy assisted the emperor in wielding power through stringent and frequently oppressive measures. The Incas possessed advanced technology and architecture, notwithstanding their absence of innovation. Irrigation systems, palaces, temples, and fortifications remain observable in the Andes. Various agricultural products, such as corn, maize, white and sweet potatoes, squash, tomatoes, peanuts, groundnuts, chili peppers, coca, cassava, and cotton, predominated in the economy. They raised dogs, llamas, alpacas, ducks, and guinea pigs. They utilized llama wool and cotton to fabricate garments. Stone or mud, adobe dwellings were commonplace. Almost every man cultivated his own sustenance and crafted his own garments. The Incas constructed an extensive network of roads throughout their empire. A north-south road extended along the coast for approximately 2,250 miles, 3,600 km, while another traversed the Andes for the same distance, featuring numerous connections. They constructed vine-supported suspension bridges and brief rock tunnels. The system was exclusively utilized for government and military purposes. Knotted cords facilitated message transmission at a velocity of 150 miles per day, 240 kilometers. The network enabled the Spanish to conquer the Inca Empire with greater expediency. In Peru, 45% of the population comprises Quechua. Speaking agrarians descended from the Incas. They integrate agriculture and livestock management, utilizing rudimentary traditional techniques. Rural settlements are classified into three categories. Families encircle the fields. Rural communities with agricultural land beyond populated areas. Integrating these two patterns, Indian communities are tightly interconnected. Towns accommodate the predominant mestizo, mixed blood population. The majority of its families engage in intermarriage. Agriculture is a collaborative endeavor. Roman Catholicism is imbued with pagan deities and spirits. Numerous myths and legends pertain to the Incas' origins and early history. Of greater significance than these historical traditions' accuracy is that the Inca employed them to rationalize their conquests. While they conveyed their desired narrative, their subsequent history was predominantly factual, especially during the reign of Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui. Most historians contend that the Inca constructed their calendar based on the interrelation of the sun, moon, and stars. We document the names of 12 lunar months and their correlations with agricultural festivals. Despite the existence of a quinary decimal system, which includes numerical designations up to 10,000 for various applications, there is no indication of a prevalent numerical system employed for the measurement of time. Counting triads and structuring work over 6 weeks of 9 days suggests a formal month of 30 days. Viracocha, the Inca deity of creation, instituted a calendar year comprising 12 months, each commencing with the new moon. Pachacuti, his successor, encountered disarray regarding the calendar and constructed the sun towers. Pachacuti's reign occurred less than a century before the conquest, indicating that the Inca calendar was still undergoing revisions when the Spaniards arrived, thereby elucidating the inconsistencies and deficiencies in information. Subsequent research has verified that at least in Cusco, the Incas' capital, an official sidereal lunar calendar existed predicated on a sidereal month of 2713 days. On June 8-9, the heliacal rising of the Pleiades coincided with the commencement of the 328 nights, concluding on the first full moon following the June solstice, the winter solstice for the southern hemisphere. Sidereal lunar calendars intercalate due to a deficit of 37 days compared to solar years. The intercalation and its position within the solar year were determined by observing the sun's intensification before the December summer solstice and its subsequent diminution. The visibility of the Pleiades also altered comparably. The Inca religion functioned as a meticulously structured state religion within the empire. Alongside animism and fetishism, the Inca religion venerated deities of nature. The pantheon was led by the sun god Inti, the creator god Viracocha, and the rain god Apu-Ilapu. Subject peoples were mandated to venerate the sun god and provide service, although their indigenous religions were permitted. Inca rituals encompassed intricate divination methods and human and animal sacrifices. The Spanish conquistadors obliterated these religious establishments in their campaign against idolatry. Viracocha was the creator deity and cultural hero of the Inca and pre-Inca civilizations. Viracocha referred to himself by several names, including the Old Man of the Sky, Lord Instructor of the World, and the Ancient One. The Inca were the cultural successors of the Tiwanaku civilization, which they also established. He executed numerous transformations of Viracocha, frequently yielding grotesque or humorous outcomes. Humanity was scattered in 4 directions following the creation, destruction, and recreation of individuals from stone. He imparted diverse skills and techniques as a cultural hero. He departed into the Pacific upon arriving in Manta, Ecuador. Some assert he traversed water. Others claim he constructed a vessel from his cloak. Kontiki posits that Viracocha disseminated Inca culture to Polynesia by embracing this facet of the myth. During the Chanca siege of the Inca forces, Viracocha manifested in a dream to Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui. Pachacuti constructed a temple to Viracocha in Cusco after his triumph. Inti, the sun god, was the preeminent deity in the Inca pantheon and was depicted by a gold effigy approximately the size of a 10-year-old child. Farmers admired him for his reverence for the Andean soil and ability to cultivate crops effectively. A splayed disc featuring a human visage symbolized Inti. Inti was named Father by his divine progenitor, the Inca sovereign. During droughts, individuals undertook pilgrimages to the temples of Ilapu, presenting sacrifices, occasionally including human offerings if the situation was dire. The commoner implored Apu-Ilapu, the deity of rain, for precipitation. It was believed that Ilapu's shadow siphoned the rainwater he released from the Milky Way. Mamaquilla, Mamaquilia, the moon mother and overseer of women's menstrual cycles, was the sun god's spouse. The Incas determined their festivals according to the lunar monthly cycles of waxing and waning. It was believed that silver constituted the tiers of the moon. The stars assumed secondary roles. Individuals sought protection due to their belief that Lyra bore a resemblance to a llama. Individuals perceived Scorpio as akin to a feline, designating the Pleiades as little mothers and commemorating their return with festivities. Pachamama, or Earth Mother, is the designation for Earth. Cochabamba, Mama Coca, the Sea Mother, was comparatively isolated from the Inca until post-1450. The selected women and priests inhabited temples and shrines containing cultic fetishes. Temples were not designed to accommodate celebrants, as most ceremonies occurred outdoors. At San Pedro Cacha, Peru, the ruins of the Temple of Viracocha featured a ground plan measuring 330 by 87 feet, 9144 by 26.5 feet, suggesting its intended use extended beyond the storage of priestly regalia. The Sun Temple in Cusco is one of the most renowned Inca temples. Vilcashuman, regarded as the geographic center of the empire, still possesses a substantial temple. On Titicaca Island, located in Lake Titicaca, there existed a temple devoted to the sun near Mount Aconcagua in Argentina, marking the southern boundary of the Inca Empire. The Incas constructed temples in the territories they subjugated. A chronicler depicted a temple in Caranqui, Ecuador, that housed gold and silver vessels. In 1801, the German explorer and geographer Alexander von Humboldt illustrated the remnants of a sun temple at Latacunga, Llactaconga, in Ecuador, A portion of the temple remained discernible. Cuzco's Sun Temple, constructed with precisely fitted stones, had a circumference exceeding 1,200 feet, 366 meters. A fragment of the wall corroborates the chronicler's account of the temple. A substantial depiction of the sun embellished the temple, while in a separate area the golden enclosure, Korinkancha, featured gold representations of cornstalks, llamas, and earth clods. The priests acquired and administered sections of the land that supported the temples, the clergy, and the chosen women. Sacred sites, including shrines and temples, were prevalent. A huaca can refer to an artificial temple, mountain, hill, or bridge, exemplified by the substantial huacachaca spanning the Apurimac River. A huaca may refer to a mummy bundle, particularly if it belonged to a lord. Individuals would contribute a stone to a ceremonial cairn, a patchy pile of stones, at elevated transit locations in the Andes. Religion and magic were intricately intertwined in huaca, merging the supernatural with the enchanting. Priests occupied all temples and shrines. The more seasoned and proficient priests mentored the junior ones through ceremonial practice. Chronographers indicate that the title of a priest was umu, yet its practical application was oriented towards his roles as a diviner of lungs, sorcerer, confessor, and healer. The principal priest of Cusco, of noble descent, bore the title Vilak Umu. He occupied a permanent position, was married, and competed with the Inca for power. He was authorized to appoint or dismiss priests from all shrines and temples within his jurisdiction. Divination was essential for decision-making. Engaging in any significant endeavor without seeking divination was unfeasible. Consequently, divination executed judicial roles, including diagnosing ailments, forecasting battle results, and uncovering crimes. Divination also dictated the sacrifices presented to particular deities. The priests consulted the supernatural to ascertain these warnings, which governed the omnipresent unseen forces. Oracles could directly communicate with errant deities. A chronicler depicts one of the oracles of a huaca situated near the Huacachaca Bridge, spanning the Apurimac River close to Cuzco, as a wooden beam adorned with two prominent golden breasts, resembling a woman's. Blood from animal and human sacrifices was applied to these idols, along with others. A chronicler documented that the river's demon communicated via this substantial idol. A prominent oracle was situated in the expansive adobe complex of Pachacamac near Lima. Divination also entailed observing spiders traversing and arranging coca leaves in a shallow vessel. Consuming ayahuasca, a psychoactive substance that significantly influences the central nervous system, was an alternative means of divination. This method was believed to enable communication with supernatural entities. There existed a conviction that the fire facilitated spiritual connection. The flames were intensified to red heat via metal tubes, after which a practitioner, Yakare, who had induced a narcotic state by chewing coca leaves, invoked the spirits, which they did. The chronicler noted that divination was sufficient by meticulously examining Salama's lungs. The ceramics of the Inca civilization illustrate the inflation of lungs by blowing into a dissected trachea, while priests meticulously examined the veins to forecast the future. Subsequent to interpreting this prophecy, they undertook political or military measures. A sacerdotal rite of divination encompassed confession. Neglecting to adhere to the ceremonies may lead to a lack of rainfall or an unexplained rupture of a water conduit. A ritual error referred to as rosha transpired here. Personal transgressions harmed the Ailu, a fundamental social unit linked to collectively owned land. To avert divine retribution, transgressions must be acknowledged and atoned for through contrition. The ceremony of the sun's emergence entailed numerous sacrifices daily. Each significant event was commemorated through human or animal sacrifices, including guinea pigs, more accurately cuy, llamas, specific foods, coca leaves, and chicha, an alcoholic corn beverage. They ignited a fire, placed corn onto the coals, and roasted it over the flames. "Consume this, Lord Sun," the priests implored, "to acknowledge our kinship." Each lunar month, 100 pristine white llamas were herded into Cusco's great square, Huayacapata. They were subsequently assigned 30 priestly attendants, each symbolizing a day of the month, to maneuver them and present them to the various deities' effigies. After the llama's sacrifice, priests cast pieces of flesh into the fire and pulverized the bones for ceremonial use. The ritual entailed incinerating exquisite ponchos or diminutive vestments as an offering component. Inca rulers donned their ponchos solely once, as they offered them as sacrifices to the fire each day. An Inca ruler may sacrifice 200 children in times of dire necessity, such as during his ascension to the royal throne. Defeats, famines, and plagues all necessitated human sacrifice. A chosen woman from the Sun Temple could even be sacrificed. Children dined before their sacrifice to ensure they do not approach the deities famished and weeping. The individual to be sacrificed must be impeccable. Blood money is not simply a metaphor. Subjugated territories often included it as a component of standard taxation. Each month in the 30-day calendar featured a festival. Guaman Poma de Ayala offers a comprehensive elucidation of the religious calendar. He presented 2 variants of the letter to Philip II, one detailing state ceremonies and sacrifices in Cusco, and the other outlining agricultural practices in the highlands. Distinct calendars were utilized on the irrigated coast, although the surviving sources do not provide specifics. The agricultural deity, Pu-Ilapu, responded to the Incas' supplications for precipitation. Mama Cocha, Cochabamba, was the maternal deity of the Incas. Individuals sought protection, believing that Lyra bore a resemblance to a llama. Lyra was referred to as Urcuchile by the Incas. The Inca herders venerated Lyra as a protector of fauna. Her shape resembled that of a multi-hued llama. An ancestor of the Incas, it was also referred to as Apu Punch, the deity of the sun. The Inca Empire revered Inti as the principal deity of the state religion. The representation of Inti typically showcased a human figure with flames and rays radiating from his visage. A silver disc depicting human characteristics represented Inti's sister and consort, Mama Kilia, or Mama Quilla. They were regarded as benevolent deities. Mama Kilia was the progenitor of the earth. He imparted the principles of civilization to Inti's son, Manco Capac, and daughter Mama Oclo, for the benefit of humanity. His offspring additionally constructed Cusco, the Inca capital. The Incas regarded their rulers as living embodiments of Inti. During the 20th century, the Quechua people occasionally conflated Christ and God with Inti. The emperor's lineage was thought to originate from Inti. Typically, the sovereign's sibling served as the high priest of the sun. After the conquest, they commemorated it in May or June alongside Corpus Christi, featuring animal sacrifices and ceremonial dances. Individuals commemorated festivals upon the reappearance of the Pleiades in the sky, designating them as Little Mothers. Initially, they observed the winter solstice and revered the resurrection of the sun. Devotees would fast 3 days before the festival and abstain from igniting fires. Numerous sacrifices and abundant feasting occurred throughout the 9-day festival. Currently, numerous tourists are coming to Cusco for the festival. Amaquilla, Mama Kilia, was the spouse of the sun deity and the moon mother. Inca Earth Mother, Pachamama. In addition to supervising planting and harvesting, she also induces earthquakes. In certain interpretations of Andean mythology, she is the consort of the sun deity, Inti. The Spanish amalgamated the image of the Virgin Mary with their own identity. Individuals toast Pachamama before meetings and events to summon favorable fortune and benevolence. In her commemoration, individuals bury food, distribute candies, and ignite incense on Shrove Tuesday, or Mardi Gras, the Tuesday preceding Ash Wednesday and the commencement of Lent. The pre-Inca inhabitants of Peru venerated Viracocha, alternatively spelled Huiracocha or Huiracocha, as the creator deity before their integration into the Inca pantheon. He asserted that he originated the sun and moon at Lake Titicaca. The Inca pantheon holds that Viracocha was the essence that originated all entities. He possesses a profound affinity for the sea. Viracocha additionally fashioned the universe, celestial bodies, time, and civilization. Viracocha was venerated as he was also a deity of storms. Artists portrayed him adorned with the sun as a crown, brandishing thunderbolts and weeping like rain. In certain mythologies, he is the progenitor of Inti and Mamakilia. Upon completing the creation of the heavens and the earth, Viracocha traversed the world, imparting to humanity the skills of civilization. He is frequently portrayed as an older man with a beard, emblematic of water deities, and adorned in a lengthy robe. He vowed to return to Manta, Ecuador one day while traversing westward across the Pacific. The megalithic ruins at Tiwanaku, adjacent to Lake Titicaca, may have depicted a weeping deity named Viracocha. He likely entered the Inca pantheon later, possibly during the reign of Viracocha, deceased circa 1438, who adopted the name of God. Viracocha was regarded as a distant deity who delegated the world's mundane affairs to other deities. During periods of crisis, the nobility fervently venerated him,